Chapter 3158. Of course. In fact, we can see that Mr. Lin E has great potential, so we don't want to be enemies with Mr. Lin E. Eerie Wood's ancestor nodded. Of course, you might have guessed that since we are the ancestors of the blood-clothed underworld sect, then we should be at least at the peak late-stage heaven rank, right? That's right. Lin E nodded. This was what puzzled him the most. It should be easy for these three to kill him, so why do they talk so much? In fact, the ancestors of the blood-clothed underworld sect won't easily take action. This is the rule. The employer gives us a limited amount of money, and we can only send a mid-stage heaven rank expert at most. We can't trouble the ancestors with this amount of money. Although killing you might be as easy as lifting a finger, we won't do it, because every profession has its rules, and we can't break them. Ancestor Eerie Woods explained. On the contrary, our employer gave us false information, causing our blood-clothed Yellow Spring Gate to suffer heavy losses. We want to take revenge on our employer. We seriously suspect that our employer is trying to trick us on purpose. Many of these rules were made up by Eerie Wood's ancestor to gain Lin Yi's trust. Of course, what he said was reasonable, so Lin Yi really believed them. Otherwise, Lin Yi really couldn't figure out why these three were here. Who is your employer? Who hired you to kill me? This was the question that Lin Yi wanted to know the most. This employer is an old acquaintance of yours. Eerie Wood's ancestors said. Actually, we think that you are a young expert with unlimited potential, so we want to make friends with you. That's not important. Our blood-clothed underworld sect also has young talents. This time, we personally came here to ask for your help. Teach this employer a lesson, or else we won't be able to swallow this anger. Why? This employer has a great background? Even you guys don't dare to deal with him? Lin, he was stunned. That's not it. Eerie Wood's ancestor waved his hand. We are an assassin organization, after all. It's not good for our reputation to deal with the employer. Moreover, we only suspect that the employer is cheating us. We don't have any evidence, so it's not good for us to act. Besides, he's currently a disciple of an ancient sect. It's not good for us to attack an ancient sect's disciple. The disciple of an ancient sect. Lin Yi immediately didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Do you think that the ancient sect that you all fear? Do you think I have a way to deal with it? Of course there is. That's why we're here. Otherwise, do you think you have enough face to make the two of us patriarchs act like this? Together with me, the housekeeper, to look for you? Ancestor Eerie Woods asked. Oh, who is your employer? Lin Yi couldn't help but have some doubts. Zhao Qibing, Yin's son, said. He's currently a disciple of the Dark Palace. If we were to deal with a disciple of the Dark Palace, it would cause a conflict between the ancient sections. Mr. Lin, he doesn't have to worry about that. As far as I know, the current master of the Dark Palace, Meng Yao, is Mr. Lin Yi's woman, right? Lin, he was just about to say that Meng Yao wasn't his woman, just a good friend, but suddenly remembered Yao Yao's confession before she left. She should be his woman now. So Lin Yi nodded. So it's Zhao Qibing. The question that had been bothering Lin Yi for a long time was finally solved. He was wondering how he managed to provoke the Bloodcloak underworld sect. It turned out that they weren't looking for trouble on purpose, but were asked to do so by someone else. With this, Lin Yi's hatred towards the Bloodcloak underworld sect faded away. The assassin organization worked for money, and the culprit was Zhao Qibing. What's in it for me to do this? Lin Yi thought about it and asked back. Although he knew that he was asking a tiger for its skin, since Elder Sinister Forest had explained so much before, it all boiled down to one thing. They wouldn't touch Lin Yi now. That was why Lin Yi had the guts to ask. Punish him and avenge our blood-clad Yellow Spring sect. Consider it as giving us face. Our blood-clad Yellow Spring sect owes you a favor, and we will definitely return it. Owe me a favor? Lin Yi thought about it. This was a business that could only be profitable. Meng Yao would definitely punish Zhao Qibing without saying anything. So it meant that the Bloodcloak underworld sect owed him a favor. This is a good thing. And so Lin Yi nodded. All right, if that's the case, it's a deal. Straightforward. The Yellow Spring ancestor nodded as well. I like straightforward people the most. All right, this matter is settled. The three of us won't disturb you any longer. We'll be leaving now. Leaving just like that. Lin, he was taken aback. He didn't expect the three of them to really come here for this matter. They were leaving right after. That's right. The purpose of our trip is to ask Mr. Lin Yi to help us punish Zhao Qibing. We've been established for so long, and we've never been played like this by our employer. It's a scam, the Yin Sen ancestor said angrily. All right, I'll tell Meng Yao. Lin Yi nodded. Take care. All right, you don't have to send us off. We'll be leaving now. The Yin Sen ancestor said and followed the Yellow Spring ancestor and Bloodcloak ancestor out of Lin Yi's villa. They really didn't stop and left immediately. Looking at their backs, Lin Yi frowned. What happened today was really a little strange. The Yin Sen ancestors' words seemed very reasonable, but Lin Yi felt that with their status, there was no need for them to do this to him. Why did they come to visit him personally? Was it really because of Zhao Qibing? Thinking about it, if they wanted to deal with Zhao Qibing, they could just tell the Palace of Darkness and owe them a favor. There was no need for them to come here and waste their time, right? However, if it was because the current master of the Palace of Darkness was Meng Yao, and they tried to assassinate him before, so they were afraid that Meng Yao wouldn't give them face. This was also possible, so they came to him to be the middleman. This was the only possibility that Lin Yi could think of. However, since the three of them weren't hostile, Lin Yi was relieved. From the beginning to the end, Lin Yi's jade didn't give any warning. This proved that these three really didn't want to kill him. Perhaps they really didn't want to deal with him. Chapter 31:59. After leaving Lin Yi's villa, the Netherworld ancestor, the Bloodclothed ancestor, and the Yinsen ancestor did not rush to leave Donghai City and return to the Blood-Clothed Underworld sect. Instead, they planned to stay here for a while and have a comprehensive understanding of Lin Yi. In other words, they had now become Lin Yi's underlings. How could they not know their master? At the very least, they had to know who Lin Yi's current enemies were, and who were the friendly sects and other underlings. For those enemies, the Blood-Clothed Underworld sect will be suppressed to death if there was a chance. For the friendly sects and underlings, they must be clear lest the flood rushed against the Dragon King Temple, and the family did not recognize the family, so they decided to stay and investigate more. Insun, you let the people of the intelligence team quickly enter Donghai City and start investigating the master's affairs. We must know ourselves and the enemy, so as to help the master and live up to the old master's trust, said the Netherworld ancestor. Okay, I know, I will call now. The Insun ancestor nodded and went to call the people of the intelligence team to come over. Dongfang family, Dongfang Jinxing, today receive an important piece of good news. That is, the pure Yin Heavenly Master of the Everyday and Everyday sect came out, and the pure Yang Heavenly Master had already given a reply that he could deal with Lin Yi together with Dongfang family's Dongfang Yinxing. Therefore, Dongfang Jinxing rushed to the door of Dongfang Badeo's room, knocked on the door, and said, Father, second brother, there is great news. Jinxing, come in. Dongfang Badeo said, What's so exciting? Father, the pure Yin Heavenly Master of the Everyday and Everyday sect has come out. Just now, their pure Yang Heavenly Master has contacted me and can join us to kill Lin Yi. Dongfang Jinxing said excitedly, This time, Lin Yi will die. Oh, the Everyday and Everyday sect can make a move? Dongfang Badeo pondered for a moment and said, Let's cooperate with them this time. When I and Yinxing become masters of the great perfection one day, we can make the Everyday and Everyday sect pay some price. Father, you agree for me to help? Dongfang Yinxing was also very excited. He had been prepared to kill Lin Yi before, but because he was afraid of Lin Yi's ability to jump ranks and kill enemies, he didn't dare to go alone. This time, he had the pure, Yin Heavenly Venerable, two-peak late-stage heaven rank powerhouses. Even if Lin Yi had 3 heads and 6 arms, he wouldn't be able to kill Lin Yi. This time, he was dead for sure. Yes, with pure Yin Heavenly Venerate accompanying you, I can naturally rest assured that you can go. Otherwise, that brat Lin Yi is really too strange. He can jump realms and instantly kill experts much stronger than him. This really makes one have no choice but to be on guard. Dongfang Badeo said, "If it weren't for the everyday and everyday sect, I would definitely let you put down this hatred for the time being. After all, we have lost a lot of our backbone. If something happens to you, our Dongfang family will really decline. At that time, even more ancient aristocratic families and sects will surpass us. The losses outweigh the gains. Is that brat Lin Yi so powerful?" Dongfang Yinxing frowned, apparently disapproving. "Don't underestimate the enemy." Dongfang Badeo waved his hand and said, "That Lin Yi, he can live until now and hasn't been killed by the enemy. He still has his own uniqueness. We must not underestimate the enemy too much, so as not to overturn the boat in the gutter." "Yes," Dongfang Yinxing quickly responded, but in his heart, he still underestimated the enemy a little. He felt that Lin Yi was just a small, early-stage heaven rank master, and it was impossible to be as powerful as him. Remember, if Lin Yi is really strong and things can't be done, then put down the hatred and quickly escape back. "Don't show off," Dongfang Badeo exhorted. "I know, father. I will be careful." Although Dongfang Jinxing said so, his words were full of perfunctory, which made Dongfang Badeo frown slightly. His son was not as steady as Dongfang Jinxing. Although his strength was there, he was still very impulsive in doing things. Dongfang Jinxing was very obedient, which was why Dongfang Badeo was relieved to let him manage the Dongfang family. However, thinking about it, Lin Yi was just an early-stage heaven rank master. Even if he was powerful and could fight against the enemy, it was impossible to be the opponent of the peak late-stage heaven rank master, right? If that was the case, Lin Yi would have been able to do whatever he wanted in the ancient level. Moreover, when he was in the Cultivator Trading Association, Lin Yi should have killed Dongfang hard instead of letting him escape. It seemed that Lin Yi's strength was still limited. This made Dongfang Badeo's originally nervous mood slightly relaxed. "When do we act?" Dongfang Badeo asked. "The everyday and everyday sect is waiting for our reply. As long as we nod, they will immediately send someone to meet us." Dongfang Jinxing said, "Well, you tell him that now our Dongfang family is also ready. Let Dongfang Yinxing go to meet with pure Yin Tianzuan and then go together to kill Lin Yi." When Dongfang Badeo said this, he turned to look at Dongfang Yinxing. "Yinxing, you remember, you must act with pure Yin Tianzuan. Don't be stupid enough to rush to the front as a test. Understand this." Dongfang Yinxing's words were heard. He was not stupid. Since it was an alliance between the two families, he naturally wanted pure Yin Tianzuan to rush to the front. It was best to fight with Lin Yi until both sides suffered, and then kill Lin Yi himself. This was also an indirect way to let the everyday and everyday sect suffer a little and avenge Dongfang Buliyu. Dongfang Jinxing came out of Dongfang Badeo's room and went to call Pure Yang Tianzuan. After Pure Yang Tianzuan received the phone call, he told the news to Zhongping Liang, "Master, the Dongfang family has agreed to join forces with us to kill Lin Yi. We still have to kill Lin Yi." Pin Yang sighed softly. Actually, after merging with Mad Dragon's memories, killing Lin Yi would be a piece of cake. I'd just send a couple of masters, and they'd be able to take him out. But the reason why I didn't do this is also because I want to give Pao a motivation to improve his cultivation. But now, if Lin Yi is not eliminated, he can't get rid of the demon in his heart. We can only kill Lin Yi first. Master, since you agree, then I will let Pure Yin Junior Brother go to meet with Dongfang Yinxing. Pure Yang Tianzuan nodded and asked, "Yes, but before he leaves, you ask him to come over. I have something to tell him." Zhongping Liang said, "Okay, Master, I will go find him." Pure Yang Tianzuan nodded and went to find Pure Yin Tianzuan. Chapter 3160. He had already tried many times, but he still failed. After all, reaching the peak of the heaven stage was a very difficult hurdle. After crossing it, there was hope of advancing to the heavenly Tao. It was not something that could be comprehended just because one wanted to. "Senior brother, how is it? Do you want me to come out of the mountain and kill that kid?" Every time Pure Yin came out of seclusion, he would stretch his body. After all, He had been cooped up in the house for a long time. He definitely wanted to get some fresh air. At this time, there was a mission to kill, so he was very enthusiastic. Lord Master, who is also your great master uncle, has agreed. But before you go, Lord Master has something to tell you. Come with me. Pure Yang nodded and said, Okay. Pure Yin hurriedly followed Pure Yang to Zhong Pingliang's residence. After coming out of seclusion, he already knew that Zhong Pingliang was the resurrected patriarch Mad Dragon. Naturally, he was very respectful to him. The two came to Zhong Pingliang's residence and knocked on the door. Lord Master, disciple Pure Yang has brought junior brother Pure Yin here. Okay, come in, Zhong Pingliang said faintly. During this time, Zhong Pingliang had learned how to act cool. Although his character was still like Zhong Pingliang's playboy, he had to act like a superior in the sect. Otherwise, others would find it weird. Disciple Pure Yin greets Great Master Uncle. Pure Yin hurriedly said after entering the door. Pure Yin, no need to be so polite. Zhong Pingliang waved his hand and said, This time, you are going to kill Lin Yi. I have something to remind you of. Great Master Uncle, please speak. Pure Yin nodded and looked like he was all ears. It's like this, Lin Yi. I know very well that this kid is the best at hiding his strength. Therefore, the strength he revealed now might not be his true strength. This might not be his full strength. He has a lot of cards up his sleeves. You have to be careful. Zhong Pingliang warned. Uncle Master, I will remember this. Pure Yin Empyrean's expression turned solemn. He quickly nodded his head. He believed Pingliang's words without a doubt. After all, Pingliang and Lin Yi used to be classmates and archenemies. Now that he had become the Mad Dragon Patriarch, if he still valued Lin Yi so much, then the pure Yin Empyrean would have to value him even more. All right, as long as you remember. Pingliang nodded in satisfaction. You and Dongfang Yinxing from House Dongfang will fight together. Don't be greedy. He wanted to kill with one strike. Don't give Lin Yi any chance to breathe. After completing the mission, don't stay any longer and rush back immediately. Do you hear me? Yes. Eldest Martial Uncle, I understand. Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin replied. All right, go ahead, Pingliang said. The rendezvous between Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing was at the Shueshang Business Hotel in Donghai City. Dongfang Yinxing couldn't find any other place and had never been there before. This was where Dongfang Burua used to live, so Dongfang Yinxing chose this place. First, it was because they were familiar with the place, and second, it was closer to Lin Yi's villa, so they could go there at any time. As for Pure Yin Empyrean, he had never been to Donghai City before. He lived wherever Dongfang Yinxing lived. The two arrived in the evening, but coincidentally, their car arrived at the same time as the Bloodcloak Underworld Sex Intelligence Team. Bloodcloak Ancestor, Netherworld Ancestor, and Sinister Ancestor were also staying at the Shueshang Business Hotel. This hotel was the closest to Lin Yi's villa, so it was convenient for them to investigate Lin Yi. Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing naturally didn't know these members of the Bloodcloak Underworld Sex Intelligence Team. After all, these people were responsible for intelligence work and wouldn't show their faces or let others know their identities. However, it didn't mean that they didn't know Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing. The Bloodcloak Underworld Sex Intelligence Team recorded all the famous figures in the ancient times, and their faces were silently engraved in the hearts of the intelligence team members. Therefore, when the two of them appeared at the entrance of the hotel, the person in charge of the Bloodcloak Underworld Sex Intelligence Team, Feng Xingyao, noticed them. After waiting for Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing to book their rooms, Feng Xingyao wrote down their room numbers and entered the elevator together. The rooms of Feng Xingyao and the others had been booked by Sinister Ancestor the day before. The reason why he waited with Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing was to listen to their conversation. After entering the elevator, Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing didn't hide anything. After all, they didn't think that there was anyone in the mortal world who could shake them, and outsiders wouldn't be able to understand what they were talking about. Does Lin Yi live nearby? Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin asked. Yes, In a villa not far from here, Dongfang Yinxing said. Should we rest for a while before heading over? Or should we go tonight? Let's go tonight. Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin thought about it and said, the earlier we go, the faster we can get things done. We'll leave after that. All right, Dongfang Yinxing nodded. The conversation between these two sounded like they were going to visit a friend. If it wasn't for Feng Xingyao, anyone else wouldn't have paid any attention to it. However, Feng Xingyao's heart trembled. Did these two peak late-stage heaven powerhouses come here to deal with Lin Yi? After all, the intelligence team had already received news that the Dongfang family and the Everyday sect had enmity. Feng Xingyao didn't think that it was a good thing for these two to come looking for Lin Yi at the same time. Moreover, from what they said, they were going to leave quickly after finishing their business. Apart from killing people, what else could be done quickly for these ancient powerhouses? However, Feng Xingyao didn't show on the surface. He had been collecting intelligence all year round and had long cultivated the ability to not show his emotions. So, at least on the surface, Feng Xingyao was focused on playing with his phone as soon as he got into the elevator. He didn't pay attention to Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing at all. When they reached the floor where Feng Xingyao was, Feng Xingyao didn't pay attention to Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing anymore. Instead, he walked out of the elevator with his two subordinates and walked toward Patriarch Hell and the others without looking back. Feng Xingyao knocked on the door of the room where Patriarch Hell, Patriarch Bloodcloak, and Patriarch Sinisterwoods were. Who is it? Patriarch Sinisterwood's voice came from inside. Chapter 3161. Oh, Wind Sage, you're here. Please come in. As he spoke, the door was opened, and Ancestor Eerie Woods welcomed the three people into the room. Wind Sage Bird greets Ancestor Netherworld, Ancestor Bloodcloak, and Ancestor Eerie Woods. After entering the room, the three people quickly bowed. No need to be so polite, Wind Sage Bird. Has Eerie Woods told you the purpose of our visit? Ancestor Netherworld waved his hand and asked. Yes, he has. Wind Sage Bird nodded and quickly said, Ancestor Eerie Woods asked us to investigate Lin Yi, but we saw something strange just now. It's also related to Lin Yi. Call him Master. Lin Yi will be the master of our Bloodcloth Underworld sect in the future. Do you hear me? Ancestor Eerie Woods frowned and scolded. Tell me, what news do you have about Master? Yes. Although Wind Sage Bird was puzzled as to how Lin Yi became the master of the Bloodcloth Underworld sect, he did not dare to ask. Seeing that the three ancestors had discussed this matter and tacitly agreed to it, how could he dare to have any objections? Hence, he quickly said, It's like this. I saw the pure, heavenly master of the Everyday sect, and the Dongfang family's Dongfang Yinxing outside the hotel just now. In the elevator, they mentioned Lin and Wind Sage Bird repeated what he heard in the elevator to Ancestor Bloodcloak and the other two. Oh, so, according to you, it is very likely that these two people are here to deal with Lin Yi? Bloodcloak Ancestor asked solemnly after listening to him. Theoretically, that should be the case. I was afraid of alerting the enemy, so I didn't dare to ask more. However, the two of them appearing here should be about the same. It should be about the same. Wind Saint Bird analyzed. Why don't I go and find out more? You're too weak. Don't go. Ancestor Bloodcloak waved his hand and said, I'll go and find out myself. In fact, Feng Xingyao's strength was not low. He was a heaven stage, middle stage expert. Of course, he was much weaker than Bloodcloak Ancestor and Yellow Spring Ancestor. Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Yin Heavenly Venerate were stronger than him, so it would be easy for him to be discovered if he went to spy on them. However, it would be different if Bloodcloak Ancestor went personally. After all, if a perfect perfection heaven rank expert wanted to hide his strength and aura, unless it was someone like Lin Yi who had a golden finger, it would be impossible for someone weaker than him to find out. After saying that, Ancestor Bloodclothed opened the window and flew out. Because it was on the side of the hotel building, there was no one outside. However, no one saw Ancestor Bloodcloak. The blood-cloak ancestor easily found the room where Pure, Heavenly Venerate, and Dongfang Yinxing were. The blood-cloak ancestor was like a Spider-Man as he leaned against the wall. He had heard everything clearly. However, to the great disappointment of the blood-clothed ancestor, he listened outside for half an hour, and there was nothing but the sound of the TV in the room. He didn't hear anything useful from Emperor Pure Yang and Dongfang Yinxing's laughter. He listened for another half an hour or so. There was still nothing but laughter and TV in the room. The blood-clothed ancestor could only go back first. However, thinking about it, these two were experts at the peak of heaven rank. There was no need for any discussion or strategy to deal with an early heaven rank expert like Lin Yi. They just had to go out at night and do it. The time now was just boring waiting. In a place like the secular world, where the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was sparse, they couldn't cultivate. What else could they do other than watch TV? Thinking of this, the blood-clothed ancestor didn't wait any longer and returned to his room. "How is it, Blood-Cloak? Did you find out anything?" Seeing that the blood-clothed ancestor had returned, the Yellow Spring ancestor quickly asked. The blood-clothed ancestor shook his head and said, "They've been watching TV in the room and didn't say anything else. Let's watch at night and act according to the situation. That's the only way." The Yellow Spring ancestor nodded. Yellow Spring ancestor, blood-clothed ancestor, ancient ancestor, what should I do next? Feng Xingyao asked. Next, you should take a rest first. You don't need to participate in tonight's matter. The blood-clothed ancestor thought for a while and said, "It will be enough for the three of us to take action at night." "Okay, then I will take my leave first," Feng Xingyao said and left with his two subordinates. As for the Yellow Spring ancestor, blood-clothed ancestor, and Insun ancestor, they quietly waited for the evening to come in the room. At 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Heavenly Venerate did not move. The blood-clothed ancestor observed several times that they were watching TV in the room until 1 o'clock in the morning. Finally, they moved. Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Heavenly Venerate walked out of the room and took the elevator out of the hotel to the parking lot. Then, they got into their car and slowly drove away from the Shueshang Business Hotel. Of course, with the strength of Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Heavenly Venerate, there was no need for them to take a car to find Lin Yi. The purpose of them taking a car was probably to deceive others. Otherwise, it would be strange for the two of them to stroll outside in the middle of the night. However, the Yellow Spring ancestor, blood-clothed ancestor, and ancient ancestor didn't drive a car. They didn't even take the elevator. Instead, they jumped out of the hotel window and over the wall on the side of the hotel, following Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Heavenly Venerate's car slowly. The car drove to the entrance of Lin Yi's villa and stopped. The Yellow Spring ancestor and the other two also hid themselves not far away. Ding dong. Dongfang Yinxing rang the doorbell of Lin Yi's villa. He didn't force his way in because he was afraid of alerting the people around. After all, they were people from the ancient times. It would be unjustifiable for them to interfere in the affairs of the secular world. The Dongfang family barely had a reason to arrest the murderer of the Dongfang family, but the everyday sect didn't have a suitable reason. Hence, they kept a low profile. Although the newly appointed ancestor of the everyday sect, Zhong Pingliang, didn't play by the rules and relied on the strength of the everyday sect to disregard the rules of the ancient times. That was Zhong Pingliang. Pure Heavenly Venerate kept a low profile as much as possible. Someone was ringing the doorbell at 1 o'clock in the morning. Lin Yi returned to reality from his cultivation state. He got up and walked out of the room, arriving at the entrance of the villa. Chapter 3162. Although Lin Yi had seen the three top masters from Yellow Spring sect before, he was still shocked, because Lin Yi clearly felt that these two didn't have good intentions. They were different from the people from Yellow Spring sect. Whether it was their expressions or their cold attitude, it showed that they were enemies. "What's the matter, visiting so late at night?" Lin Yi didn't walk over to guard the door. The Jade had already sent out a weak warning signal. If he walked over, the Jade would probably send out a strong warning, right? So Lin Yi just stood at the door, looking at Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Yin Tianzuan from afar. Lin Yi had already thought about it. If anything happened, he would run to the backyard and get on the purple lightning beast. Yushu's backer was 5 elements sect. These two wouldn't dare touch her, no matter how strong they were. As for Su Shihan, Lin Yi could only pray that these two wouldn't go upstairs to look for her. Otherwise, Lin Yi would have to come back and waste his only net to save Su Shihan. You're Lin Yi, right? Dongfang Yinxing wasn't in a hurry to make a move. He needed to be sure, otherwise he'd be screwed. Just like Dongfang Song and the others, they tried to make a move on the inheritor of the Dark Palace, only to be killed by the Great Elder. You are? Lin Yi asked. Dongfang Yinxing. Dongfang Yinxing said proudly, you killed so many people from my Dongfang family. Today, I will make you pay with your blood. Dongfang Yinxing? Lin Yi frowned and looked at Pure Yin Tianzuan. What about you? You're not from Dongfang family too, right? Pure Yin Tianzuan. I'm here on the orders of Mad Dragon Ancestor to take your life. Pure Yin Tianzuan didn't explain too much and simply stated the purpose of this trip. Both of them were here to kill him. Lin Yi took a deep breath, turned around, and wanted to run. He had no choice but to run. 2 peak late, phase heaven-class masters. Lin Yi wasn't their match at all. Lin Yi couldn't even deal with 1, let alone 2. Open the door and die. I'll let you die a quick death. Dongfang Yinxing said, don't even think about escaping. You won't be able to escape from 2 peak, late heaven rank experts. What to do? Lin Yi pondered for a moment and wanted to turn around and escape. After all, if he didn't run now, it would be too late. Just at this moment of mutual hostility. Not far away, Ancestor Blood Cloak and Ancestor Yellow Spring exchanged glances and said at the same time, let's go. Leave no one alive. As they spoke, the two flew behind Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Yin Heavenly Venerate. As for old Ancestor Eerie Woods, he did not move. He was waiting for an opportunity to strike. Just as Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Yin Heavenly Venerable were about to kill Lin Yi, they suddenly felt a sense of danger coming from behind. Their hearts trembled, and they quickly turned around, only to see 2 black-robed men rushing towards them. Damn it. Who are these people? Both of them were scared out of their wits because Ancestor Blood Cloak and Ancestor Yellow Spring were displaying their peak late phase heaven rank strength. The 2 of them had to be careful. This is Lin Yi. He has helpers? Pure Yin Heavenly Venerable and Dongfang Yinxing were shocked. Although they were puzzled, they had no choice but to take out their heaven-grade divine weapons at the same time. Otherwise, the 2 of them would die without a doubt in the face of the 2 shiny black iron swords. In the blink of an eye, the 4 divine weapons intertwined with each other. 2 against 2? It was hard to tell who would come out on top. Although the Blood Cloak Ancestor and the Yellow Spring Ancestor were at the peak of the late stage of the heaven rank and were stronger than the Pure Yin Heavenly Venerable and Dongfang Yinxing, it was impossible for them to instantly kill each other. After all, at this level, they had a lot of fighting experience. It was unrealistic to say who could directly kill the other. However, if they fought for a period of time, Ancestor Blood Cloak and Ancestor Yellow Spring were both experts with half a foot in the heaven rank. Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Yin Heavenly Venerate were both experts with half a foot in the Great Perfection realm. Although the 2 of them hadn't reached that level yet, they had already touched the threshold after years of cultivation. All they lacked was an opportunity, so their combat experience wasn't the slightest bit lacking. However, what made them alarmed was that the moves of the 2 people in front of them were very strange. Every move was a killer move, and every move was fatal. Not a single move only wanted to injure and not kill. This gave the 2 of them a headache. They had to carefully deal with every move, otherwise there would be a bloody hole in their bodies. This also resulted in the 2 of them only being able to defend and not attack. And at this time, just as Ancestor Blood Cloak was about to attack Dongfang Yinxing suddenly felt danger coming from behind. However, He couldn't look back because Ancestor Bloodcloak's black iron sword was already stabbing towards him. If he didn't deal with it properly, he would be stabbed to death. This put him in a dilemma. He was incomparably hesitant, but there was no other way. He could only brace himself and defend first, praying that the person behind him was just Lin Yi. However, the reality was very cruel. Dongfang Yinxing suddenly felt that the person behind him was at the peak of the heaven rank, but it was already too late. An arrow pierced through his heart. Dongfang Yinxing died with his eyes wide open. Pure, heavenly venerable was shocked, but he didn't dare to be distracted. In the next moment, it was his turn to suffer a tragedy. Another arrow pierced through his heart. Pure, heavenly venerable also died. However, before he died, he suddenly remembered the identity of the three people in front of him. You're from the Blood Cloak Yellow Spring sect. Moreover, your ancestors. Why do you want to kill me? Pure, heavenly venerable couldn't understand why the three ancestors of the Blood Cloak Yellow Spring sect wanted to kill them. This was a completely unrelated matter. Why did they help Lin Yi? In fact, the fight between these people was over in the blink of an eye. Because there was a distance between each villa in the villa area, it didn't alarm anyone else. Lin Yi was originally prepared to escape, but he couldn't help but stare in shock when he saw the three from the Blood Cloak Yellow Spring sect suddenly jump out and kill Pure, heavenly venerable and Dongfang Yinxing. What kind of show were these three putting on? Why did they help him? Thank you for helping me. May I ask if you're returning my favor? Lin Yi really couldn't understand why these three would help. The only thing he could think of was that the Yellow Spring ancestor and the others said that if he helped Meng Yao torture Zhao Qibing, they would owe him a favor. So, no matter how he thought about it, this was the only possibility that Lin Yi could think of. Chapter 3163. Oh, assassination targets? Lin Yi was slightly surprised. Yes, I'm really sorry that I didn't tell Mr. Lin before. Perhaps Mr. Lin was wondering why three patriarchs were dispatched at the same time when we came to make peace with you. Isn't this a little too much? Asked Ancestor Eerie Woods. Indeed, I was wondering before, but I was too embarrassed to ask. Lin Yi nodded. Could it be that your real target is these two people? That's right. Eerie Old Ancestor nodded. Only the three of us can easily kill these two peak late-stage heaven rank experts. However, we were afraid of alerting them, so we didn't tell Mr. Lin about this. Moreover, the mission is confidential, so we didn't know that Mr. Lin has a grudge against these two. We were also afraid that Mr. Lin would leak the secret, so we concealed it. Mr. Lin, you won't be unhappy, right? Of course not. Lin, he shook his head in surprise and joy. He suddenly realized something. Before this, he was still wondering when he got so much face to have three elders from the Bloodcloth Underworld sect come to him to make peace. Wasn't this too awesome? Now, it seemed that they came with a mission. As for why they killed Pure, Heavenly Lord, and Dongfang Yinxing, Lin Yi didn't bother to ask. It was very simple. Someone paid for murder, so they made a move. There was no reason at all. Just like before, they inexplicably came to kill Lin Yi for the same reason. Moreover, this matter didn't have much to do with Lin Yi. As long as the Bloodcloth Underworld sect didn't come to kill him, it was fine. As for who the employer was, there was no need for him to ask. Lin Yi used to be an assassin in the secular world, so it was impossible for him to casually tell others about his employer. Then, the three of us will go first. You must keep the matter of us coming here secret. Don't tell anyone. Bloodcloth Old Ancestor pondered for a moment and said, However, I'll have to trouble Mr. Lin to help deal with these two corpses. I can't say for sure, but I'll have to trouble Mr. Lin to take the blame for their deaths. Oh, Lin Yi was slightly stunned, but he was overjoyed. Taking the blame for the three ancestors of Yellow Spring sect was not a bad thing. In fact, it was a good thing for Lin Yi. Even if the Dongfang family and Everyday After Bright sect knew that Dongfang Yinxing and Pure, Heavenly Venerable were killed by the blood-clothed Underworld sect, it wouldn't do Lin Yi any good. They wouldn't lessen their hatred for Lin Yi because of this. On the contrary, if the two of them died in front of Lin Yi's house, They might even think that Lin Yi hired the blood-clothed underworld sect to kill them. Therefore, they probably wouldn't seek revenge from the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect. He would still look for Lin Yi. However, what if they thought that the two of them were killed by Lin Yi? That would be different. Killing two peak late-stage heaven powerhouses wasn't something an ordinary person could do, but Lin Yi did it in this way. Whether it was the Dongfang family or the Everyday After Bright sect, they had to reevaluate Lin Yi's ability. If they wanted to deal with Lin Yi, they had to send out more powerful experts. Who was the more powerful expert? It was definitely a peak late-stage heaven perfection expert. However, there was another problem. If Lin Yi could kill two peak late-stage heaven perfection experts, why couldn't he kill a peak late-stage heaven perfection expert? It wasn't impossible. It was very possible. Moreover, even a peak late-stage heaven perfection expert wouldn't dare to say that he could easily kill two peak late-stage heaven perfection experts, right? It was possible to kill one, but if two were to attack together, the peak late-stage heaven perfection expert might be the one to suffer. This was a 50-50 chance. Of course, if it was someone else, no one would believe that an early-stage heaven rank expert could kill two peak late-stage heaven rank experts. They might even mistake it as a mental patient talking nonsense. But when it came to Lin Yi, everyone thought that it was normal. Lin Yi had been fighting enemies stronger than him since his debut. Many of the Dongfang family's experts had died in Lin Yi's hands, and the Everyday After Bright sect Zhang Naipeo, who was known as the #1 under a certain level, was defeated by Lin Yi every single time. If Zhang Naipeo could kill Dongfang Bushu, who was a peak late-stage heaven perfection expert, then why couldn't Lin Yi kill two peak late-stage heaven perfection experts if he was stronger than Zhang Naipeo? So, other than being surprised, no one would doubt it. This was Lin Yi's current advantage. When Lin Yi thought about it, he was very happy to get this benefit for free. Although he couldn't guarantee that the Dongfang family and the Everyday After Bright sect wouldn't react and seek revenge, but in the short term, they wouldn't be able to find trouble with Lin Yi. Two peak late-stage heaven perfection experts who didn't even know how they died. Who would dare come a die? After thinking this through, Lin Yi cupped his fist at the three. All right, I'll keep this a secret. No matter what, I thank the three elders for helping me kill my enemies. Since we're paid, we'll take our leave first. With that, Bloodreeb nodded and quickly left with the other two. The fighting in the yard alerted the people in the villa. The first to come out were Wu Qintian and Feng Sanwang. They didn't see the fight, but they saw two corpses the moment they came out. What's going on? Who are these two people? Qintian and Feng Sanwang were startled. The consecutive days of peace made them think that the Dongfang family had let go of this matter and wouldn't come looking for trouble, but tonight's matter didn't seem to be the case. These two people had Sky-class weapons in their hands. They were obviously practitioners, and Sky-class practitioners at that. They were most likely related to the Dongfang family. One is Dongfang Yinxing, and the other is pure Yin Sky Master. Lin Yi said, both of them are peak late-stage heaven perfection. Qintian, Feng Bro, take care of these two corpses. Don't alert the neighbors. Dongfang Yinxing, pure Yin Sky Master? Qintian didn't think much of it, but Feng Sanwang was shocked. He naturally knew who these two were. They were famous masters for a long time, but they were dead, killed by Lin Yi just like that. Chapter 3164. Feng Sanwang came back to his senses. Mr. Lin, you're really amazing. You can even kill two heaven-rank peak late-phase experts? At this time, Su Shihan and Cheng Yi also came downstairs. When they saw the two corpses in front of the villa, they were shocked. When they heard that both of them were peak late-stage heaven class and were killed by Lin Yi, they were shocked as well. I used some secret techniques, but I paid a price for it. Lin Yi explained vaguely. He'd already promised Bloodcloak Underworld to keep it secret, so he couldn't even tell the people close to him. He could only brush them off like this. Moreover, this was what Lin Yi wanted. If this matter was spread out, it would be of great benefit to Lin Yi's reputation. Since Lin Yi said so, Chen Tian and San Wang didn't ask anymore and quickly went to take care of the body. Shirhan, on the other hand, walked over with fear. Lin Yi, this person is Dongfang Yinxing of the Dongfang clan. It looks like the Dongfang clan is going all out this time. Lin Yi said, I heard that there is still a man named Dongfang Jinxing and Dongfang Badeo left. I don't know when they will come. When they come, I'll kill them all, and then you can leave this place with peace of mind. Lin Yi's words were actually meant to spread the news through the mouths of his own people. Moreover, he also had another purpose. Su Shirhan was shocked. Lin Yi was really ruthless. He wanted to wipe out their whole family. Then what about the other person? Cheng Yi asked curiously. That person is from the Everyday and Everyday Church. He's called Pure in Heavenly Venerable. In any case, the Everyday and Everyday Church and I are sworn enemies. I heard that they have a peak heaven rank expert at the great perfection of the heaven rank. I don't know if my secret technique can get rid of him. I can give it a try. It shouldn't be a problem, Lin Yi said. Heavens, so powerful. Cheng Yi stuck out her tongue. Shaoan, since there's nothing else, I'll go upstairs to rest. I'm so sleepy. You go first. I'll wait for Brother Feng here. Su Shirhan had something to tell Feng San Wang. Such a big thing happened today. She had to tell her father, Feng Tianlin. All right, I'll go to bed first. I'm so sleepy, huh? Cheng Yi turned around and walked towards the villa in a daze. Holy shit, I seem to have missed something fun. Yushu ran out of the villa in her pajamas, her big breasts in her hands. She looked at the body San Huang, and Chun Tian moved into the car with sleepy eyes. Shield bro, who are these two idiots? Lin Yi looked at Yushu. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. Shu, can't you drink less papaya milk? Are your breasts tired? Now you're holding it with your hands? Ugh, I've been drinking it since I was a kid. Can't change it. Yushu said as she let go. Shield bro, maybe you could help me with liposuction. When you cultivate in the future, you can make your skin contract. If it's firmer, you won't need to hold it with your hands. Lin Yi used Qi in his sound. This was something he learned in the Ice Palace. He wasn't very familiar with it when he was a mystic, but now that he was a sky class, naturally, he could use it freely. Yushu becoming an inheritor was still a secret. Lin Yi didn't want anyone else to know about it. Besides, this was a private conversation. Lin Yi and Shu were so close that they didn't need to hide anything. But Su Shirhan, Feng San Huang, and Chen Tan were there too, so Lin Yi couldn't say it out loud. Oh, Yushu nodded happily. Finally, I don't need to hold it up anymore. Lin Yi told Yushu about what happened last night and led her into the house. Shirhan, on the other hand, went to call Feng Tianlin. The father and daughter didn't contact each other often, and every time they called, they had a lot to talk about. But tonight, other than Shirhan and Feng Tianlin who didn't rest, it was destined to be a sleepless night for many people. Feng Tianhu, the first person to know about Dongfang Jinxing and Pure Yin's death, was shocked as if he was struck by lightning. He held the phone in his hand, unable to believe his ears. Two peak late-stage heaven-rank powerhouses died, just like that? Since when did Lin Yi become so powerful? Now, he could kill top-level practitioners? Feng Tianhu was shocked, but he was also afraid. He regretted killing Su Shirhan when he had nothing better to do. Now he made such a strong enemy out of nowhere. If Lin Yi wanted to come to House Feng and take his life, it would be as easy as flipping his palm. Old Feng wouldn't even say a word for him, because even Old Feng wasn't his opponent. All of a sudden, Feng Tianhu was extremely frustrated. He felt that his biggest failure was working with Dongfang Xiaocui to deal with Shirhan. It was a stupid move. No, he couldn't just sit here and wait for death. He needed to quickly find Dongfang Xiaocui to discuss a plan. Coincidentally, Feng Tianlin went to pick up Shirhan's call. Dongfang Xiaocui had the chance to come out. Receiving Feng Tianhu's message, Dongfang Xiaocui quickly came to the prearranged location. Seeing Feng Tianlin frowning, she couldn't help but be confused. Tianhu, what are you doing? It's already so late. What's the matter? Don't let your second brother misunderstand. Sister-in-law, let's not talk about this. Something happened. Something big happened. Feng Tianhu waved his hand and ignored Dongfang Xiaocui's words. He hurriedly said, Dongfang Yinxing is dead. What? My second brother is dead. Dongfang Xiaocui's eyes widened and looked at Feng Tianhu in disbelief. Feng Tianhu, are you joking? Your joke isn't funny at all. My second brother is a sky-class late phase peak master. He's half a step into the absolute peak. You're saying he's dead? Sister-in-law, I'm not in a mood to joke with you. Feng Tianhu frowned. The everyday sex pure Yin Tianzuan died with him. He's also a sky-class late phase peak master. What? How do they die? What do they go to do? Dongfang Xiaocui realized that Feng Tianhu might be telling the truth and asked anxiously. Chapter 3165. What? That Lin Yi is that strong? Isn't he just a heaven-class early-stage bodyguard? How could he kill 2 heaven-class late-stage peak masters? Dongfang Xiaocui asked in disbelief. That Lin Yi is very capable. He can fight those stronger than him. Before, he killed a heaven-class mid-stage master from the Dongfang family, and now he can kill 2 heaven-class late-stage peak masters. I heard that he used some kind of secret technique, but no matter what, he was hiding his strength before. Feng Tianhu said, now, I don't know if killing 2 heaven-class late-stage peak masters is his limit. Maybe he can even kill a heaven-class late-stage peak full-circle master. Then what should we do? Dongfang Xiaocui turned pale with fright. Does he know that this is a conspiracy between the 2 of us? Will he come and cause trouble for us? If he comes, we'll all die. Tianhu, think of something. What should we do? Dongfang Xiaocui panicked. For the first time, she felt powerless and fearful. The Dongfang family could no longer be her support because heaven-class late-stage peak masters could be killed by Lin Yi. Dongfang Xiaocui was afraid that Lin Yi would take revenge on her. Don't worry, Lin Yi definitely knows. He's my second brother's bodyguard, after all. My second brother will definitely tell him about us. So, there's no point in us panicking. We can only think of a plan. Feng Tianhu was also a bit anxious. How about we go find him and beg for mercy? Don't kill us. I won't dare to do it again. I won't dare to do anything to Su Shirhan anymore. How about asking him to forgive us? Dongfang Xiaocui panicked. Yes, that's it. I heard that he's Shirsan's boss, and I'm Shirsan's mother. Even if he doesn't want to let me go, he should at least give face to his little brother, Shirsan, right? I'll ask Shirsan for help now. Feng Tianhu was very unhappy. He thought, Lin Yi won't blame you then. He'll definitely vent his anger on me. What should I do then? It looked like this kind of brainless woman was out of the question. Cooperating with her was simply asking for trouble. However, Feng Tianhu had no other choice. Dongfang Xiaocui could rely on Feng Shipian, but he couldn't. Feng Shipian hated him to the core. Help him? Feng Tianhu hesitated. Whether it was a blessing or a curse, he couldn't avoid it. He could only try his best to think of a way. Then go. I'll think of something else, Feng Tianhu said helplessly. Dongfang Xiaocui went to plead with her son, Feng Shipian. After Feng Tianhu went back, he didn't give up. He called Dongfang Jinxing. This was done by him and Dongfang Jinxing. Even if he died, he would drag someone down with him. Dongfang Jinxing, in fact, was also waiting for news from Dongfang Yinxing. Today, Dongfang Yinxing had already talked to him and decided to kill Lin Yi at night. The appointed time was around midnight, but now it was almost dawn and there was no news. This gave Dongfang Jinxing a bad feeling in his heart. It was reasonable to say that 2 masters of the peak late stage of heaven stage could kill Lin, a master of the early stage of heaven stage. It was just a matter of minutes. However, it had been a few hours and there was still no news. How could Dongfang Jinxing not be anxious? Jinxing, you are now the young master of the Dongfang family. Why are you so restless? Dongfang Badeo looked up at Dongfang Jinxing. He was confident in Dongfang Yinxing. Masters of the peak late stage of heaven stage were the top existences in the current cultivation world. Even masters of the peak late stage of heaven stage great perfection couldn't easily kill them, let alone Lin Yi. Hey, father, Why don't I call Yinxing and ask? Dongfang Jingxing was really a little uneasy. If he was not sure of the safety of Dongfang Yinxing, he would be a little restless. If you call, I am afraid that Yinxing is performing a killing mission and will affect him. Otherwise, you can send a text message. When Yinxing sees the message, he will give you a reply. Dongfang Bideo thought about it and said, Okay. Dongfang Jingxing nodded and picked up the mobile phone. However, before he could send a message, the phone rang. Dongfang Jingxing glanced at the caller ID. It was Feng Tianhu. Why did Feng Tianhu call so late at night? Although Dongfang Jingxing was a little puzzled, the two were in a cooperative relationship, so he still picked up the phone. Feng Tianhu. What's the matter? Brother Dongfang, something bad has happened. Mr. Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Yin Tianzuan have fallen. Feng Tianhu said in a hurry. What? What did you say? What happened to Yinxing? Dongfang Jingxing was shocked and couldn't believe his ears. Did I hear it wrong? Say it again. Brother Dongfang, you didn't hear it wrong. I just received the news that these two people were killed by Lin Yi's secret method in front of his house. Feng Tianhu sighed. He understood Dongfang Jingxing's mood. When he just received the news, wasn't he also shocked? What? Lin Yi killed them in seconds? How is this possible? Both of them are masters at the peak of the late stage of Heaven Stage. How could Lin Yi, a small early stage Heaven Stage, kill them in seconds? You are lying, aren't you? Dongfang Jingxing didn't want to believe what Feng Tianhu said. Although he also knew that Feng Tianhu definitely didn't have the courage to joke about such things, he still wanted to be lucky. AI, Feng Tianhu said helplessly. Brother Dongfang, Lin, he can kill masters at the middle stage of Heaven Stage. Why can't he kill masters at the peak of the late stage of Heaven Stage? Didn't Zhang Naipeo from the Everyday sect kill Dongfang Bushu, a master at the peak of the late stage of Heaven Stage? That was just a trick. If it wasn't for the 5 evil savage lands, there wouldn't be so many spirit beasts. How could Bushu die if he didn't lose? At most, he just temporarily lost his mind. Dongfang Jingxing argued. That Lin Yi also used some kind of secret method. It is said that he paid a certain price to be able to kill masters at the peak of the late stage of Heaven Stage. Feng Tianhu said, although I don't know what price Lin Yi paid, at least for now, Lin Yi seems to be fine. Maybe Lin Yi can even kill masters at the peak of the late stage of Heaven Stage in seconds. Chapter 3166. He couldn't accept this reality. The successive deaths of the Dongfang family had made his mood on the verge of collapse at any time. Today, his younger brother Dongfang Yinxing was also dead. Dongfang Jingxing was suddenly out of control. Jingxing, calm down. Although Dongfang Bideo vaguely understood that things were not good, and Dongfang Yinxing was afraid that it would be a disaster, but at this time, his own people couldn't mess up. He slapped Dongfang Jingxing's face and woke him up. Without waiting for Dongfang Jingxing to say anything, Dongfang Bideo directly grabbed the phone and said to the other side, Feng Tianhu? I am Dongfang Bideo. Tell me in detail what you know. What the hell is going on? It's Master Dongfang. In fact, I don't know much. I also know about it from the informant over there. Feng Tianhu said and told Dongfang Bideo what he knew. In fact, he didn't know the details. It was nothing more than the result. So, that Lin Yi not only has the ability to kill 2 masters at the peak of the late stage of Heaven Stage at the same time, but he can even fight with masters at the peak of the late stage of Heaven Stage at the great perfection? Dongfang Bideo asked quickly after listening. Yes. Feng Tianhu nodded and said, Master Dongfang, now that things have happened, the evidence is conclusive, the 2 people are really dead. We should discuss how to protect ourselves next. This matter is led by our 2 families. If Lin Yi really comes to our door, our Feng family can't resist it. Your Dongfang family is also one of Lin Yi's goods. Dongfang Bideo's face was very ugly. Although Feng Tianhu's words were very unpleasant, he had to admit it. What Feng Tianhu said was right. Lin Yi could kill 2 masters at the peak of the late stage of Heaven Stage at the same time, and nothing happened, and he was not injured. It was enough to see the strength of Lin Yi. So, this matter was now obvious. If Lin Yi wanted revenge, no one could stop it. The Dongfang family would suffer, and the ancient Feng family would also suffer. The current situation wasn't about revenge. It was to prevent Lin Yi from taking revenge. However, Master Dongfang was a shrewd old man after all. He did not panic. Instead, he pondered for a moment and said, "As far as I know, Lin Yi has many enemies, but Lin Yi rarely takes the initiative to find trouble with others. He only acts when he has no other choice. The few times our Dongfang clan attacked, Lin Yi was always on the defensive. This also proved this point. I've investigated Lin Yi before. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Lin Yi would not take the initiative to touch anyone. It had been so long. Lin Yi only took the initiative to touch the common house Yu and the hidden house Zhao. That may be the case, but old Master Dongfang, do you know, Xiangwo, what does the common house Yu and the hidden house Zhao represent?" These two represent the common level and the hidden level. Lin Yi is killing the chicken to warn the monkey. Maybe the next one will be our ancient Feng family or the Dongfang clan. Feng Tianhu also studied Lin Yi and came to such a conclusion. That's because he was pushed too far. Now, none of the people around Lin Yi are dead or injured, but our Dongfang clan lost several masters. I don't think he can come to us for trouble. As long as we endure it and don't provoke him, it'll be fine. Dongfang Badeo said faintly, "Endure it, it's nothing." Feng Tianhu listened to Dongfang Badeo's tone and was so angry that his teeth itched, but there was nothing he could do. In the end, the Dongfang clan was just a thug. The cause of this matter was because of Feng Tianhu. If Lin Yi wanted revenge, he would definitely be the first one. As for the Dongfang clan, as long as they bowed their heads and admitted their mistakes, it would be fine. After all, Lin Yi didn't lose anything. But Feng Tianhu was different. Let Feng Tianhu bow his head? Wouldn't that be admitting Su Shihan's identity? And he also had to bow his head to Feng Tianlin? Then would he still compete for the position of the head of the clan? Wouldn't Feng Nitian die in vain? Let him give up. He was not willing. However, now the Dongfang clan obviously retreated, and he himself was not Lin Yi's opponent. Feng Tianhu had no way. His face was gloomy, but his voice didn't change. "Okay, Elder Dongfang, if that's the case, I'm relieved." Hanging up the phone, Feng Tianhu stomped his feet and walked to the Feng clan's ancestral hall. There was Feng Nitian's tablet. He wanted to calm down and think of a better way to deal with Lin Yi and Su Shihan. If Lin Yi didn't die, he wouldn't be satisfied. Looking at Feng Nitian's tablet, Feng Tianhu secretly vowed in his heart that he must teach Lin Yi a lesson. But now, he didn't have a helper. With his own strength, there was no way to shake Lin Yi. Next, he should find a new helper. Who would it be? Right? The Everyday and Everyday sect. Feng Nitian suddenly remembered that the Everyday and Everyday sect had lost a disciple as well. And it was an important disciple, the disciple of the pure Yang Sky Master, pure Yin Sky Master. With this person dead, the Everyday and Everyday sect would be furious, wouldn't they? That was a Sky-class late-phase peak, a full-cycle master. Although Feng Tianhu knew that this path was full of danger, there was no point in being afraid and regretting it now. He was forced to this point, and if Feng Nitian didn't die, he might have given up and not fight for anything. But Feng Nitian was dead, and he was forced to a dead end. Even if he was afraid, he had to continue. For himself, for his dead son, Feng Tianhu's face flashed with a trace of ferocious madness. The Everyday and Everyday Sun sect and the Five Element sect were large sects that had stepped down from the primeval level. The main characters of their sects all had soul jade tablets. Only after this person perished would the jade tablet shatter. Now that pure Yin Empyrean's jade tablet had shattered, the patrolling disciple was startled and hurriedly reported it to pure Yang Empyrean. "What? Brother Pure Yin is dead?" The pure Yang Sky Master was shocked as well. He didn't care about anything else and quickly reported it to Zhong Pingliang. Zhong Pingliang's face was very ugly as well. He knew about the soul jade plate. When he died, His soul jade plate was broken as well, but he had a secret technique to preserve his soul for future possession. Pure Sky Master, on the other hand, didn't have any secret technique. Death was death, the plate wouldn't lie. Chapter 3167. I'll go ask House Dongfang now and see if they have any news. Don't let them escape, and let Pure be cannon fodder. I won't let them go. Pure Yang nodded and was about to call Dongfang jinxing, but before he could make the call, he received a call from an unknown number. Pure Yang didn't think much about it, thinking that it was someone from House Dongfang. He picked up the phone. Hello, I'm Pure Yang. Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang. I'm Feng Tianhu from the ancient Feng family. Have you heard of my name? Feng Tianhu asked carefully. The everyday sect was a powerful existence. He had to be careful. Ancient House Feng? I know this, but Feng Tianhu doesn't. Pure Yang Heavenly Venerate frowned. He didn't know why the Feng family called him. I'm Feng Nitian's father, the one who got crippled by Lin Yi. Feng Tianhu quickly introduced himself. Oh, Feng Nitian? Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang finally remembered. I have an impression of this. What's the matter, Feng Tianhu? It's like this. Lin Yi has already killed Pure Yin and Dongfang clan's Dongfang Yinxing. I'm here to inform you, Feng Tianhu said. What? Dongfang Yinxing of House Dongfang is dead? Pure Yang froze. He had guessed that Dongfang Yinxing was using Pure Yin as cannon fodder, but it seemed like that wasn't the case. Both of them were dead. Yes, they were killed by Lin Yi, Feng Tianhu said. Oh, then how did you know about this? This doesn't have anything to do with your ancient house phone, right? What role did you play in this? Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang's tone turned cold as he questioned. Pure Yang, I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you the truth. Actually, the Dongfang family's matter was caused by me. Feng Tianhu didn't hide anything and told Pure Yang Empyrean about how he wanted to touch Su Shirhan, as well as the enmity between him and Lin Yi. These things weren't secrets anymore. Feng Tianhu wasn't afraid of anything. Oh, in other words, the people of the Dongfang family died because of you? Empyrean Pure Yang frowned. What do you mean by calling me? Could it be that you just want to inform me that Shun Yin has also fallen? Pure Yang Empyrean was a little confused about what Feng Tianhu meant. Even if the Dongfang family died because of Feng Tianhu, but there was no need to inform the everyday sect. What was this person's intention? He didn't die because of that. When a matter was exposed, Dongfang Xiaotsue had already told Dongfang Jinxing to stop. After that, it was all between the Dongfang family and Lin Yi, Feng Tianhu said. If that's the case, then there's no need for you to tell me this. What are you trying to say? The more heavenly venerable Pure Yang listened, the more puzzled he became. What I want to say is that we have a common enemy, and that's Lin Yi. Feng Tianhu said, right now the Dongfang clan is greatly weakened. They don't want to participate anymore, but your sect definitely won't let this go, right? At that time, you and I will join hands to deal with Lin Yi. You and I work together? You're representing yourself, or the ancient Feng family. Pure Yang Empyrean asked faintly, unmoved at all. After all, in his eyes, even the ancient Feng family wasn't a very powerful existence. This, of course, it's me, Feng Tianhu said a little awkwardly. All right, I got it. I'll talk to Master about this matter with Patriarch Berserk Dragon. I'll give you a reply when the time comes. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up. With that, Empyrean Pure Yang hung up. Why are the people from the Feng family looking for you? Zhong Pingliang asked after Pure Yang Empyrean hung up. They're looking for me to work together. It's like this. Pure Yang Empyrean repeated what Feng Tianhu said. Oh, with his level of strength, he wants to get even with Lin Yi? Is he an idiot? Zhong Pingliang snorted in disdain. I know Lin Yi too well. This person has endless trump cards. It's a piece of cake for him to fight someone stronger than him. The main thing is that this person is very cunning. He's very good at pretending to be weak. The strength we see now might not be his true strength. In the past, I suffered a few losses in his hands. Even my kidney was cut off. So, before we figure out how strong Lin Yi is and how many trump cards he has, it's not recommended to provoke Lin Yi. Otherwise, you'll just be sending yourself to your death. Master, then we won't participate in this matter? Pure Yin's death, are we just going to let it go? Pure Yang Emperor felt that Zhong Pingliang's words made sense. However, giving up just like that would be letting Lin Yi off easy. Of course not, but you have to endure it for now. Otherwise, you'll just be sending yourself to your death. Do you think you can deal with Lin Yi? Zhong Pingliang asked. That's true. Pure Yang Emperor nodded. Then I'll go tell Feng Tianhu now that we won't participate in this matter. Tell him that we won't participate. However, if he wants to deal with Lin Yi, that's fine too. Zhong Pingliang thought about it and said, isn't there a bloodcloth underworld sect in the ancient world that specializes in paying to assassinate cultivators? I think you can remind Feng Tianhu and let him hire people from the bloodcloth underworld sect to kill Lin Yi. That's a good idea. If it succeeds, then so be it. If it doesn't, we won't lose anything. Pure Yang Emperor agreed. Master, you think too much. It's not that I think too much. I'm also holding back my anger. I can't swallow this anger because of Lin Yi. Zhong Pingliang sighed and said, however, because I know Lin Yi better than anyone, I also know that this revenge can't be avenged in a short period of time. I've endured for so long before, so a little longer won't matter. I see, but I believe that once Master recovers his strength, killing Lin Yi will be an easy and pleasant matter. Pure Yang Emperor said. I hope so. Zhong Pingliang nodded. By the way, help me find someone and help me kill someone. Oh, Master, who do you want to kill? Pure Yang Emperor was slightly stunned. Other than Lin Yi, you have other enemies? Chapter 3168. Oh, okay. Master, is this person also a cultivator? What is his strength level? Pure Yang asked. This person is an Earth class master. I don't know exactly how strong he is now, but I think it's definitely not Heaven class. Zhong Pingliang said, send someone to kill him. Any Heaven class master should be enough, right? Okay, but to be on the safe side, it's better to send a master with the strength of the peak late stage of Heaven class. With Lin Yi's lesson this time, we have to be careful. It's better to be safe than sorry. Pure Yang suggested. You're right. Find a person, I'll explain it to him. Zhong Pingliang pondered for a moment and nodded. The everyday sect had a lot of experts. A pure Yin Empyrean had died, and the one who came this time was a junior apprentice of pure Yang Empyrean generation. He was called Pure Cold Empyrean. In this generation, anyone who reached the Heaven rank would be given the title of Empyrean. Pure Cold greets the Supreme Sect Master, Mad Dragon Patriarch. Pure Cold Master saw Zhong Pingliang and quickly bowed respectfully. Pure Cold, this time, I want you to help me kill a person. Pure Yang has told you, right? Zhong Pingliang asked. Replying to Mad Dragon Patriarch, I already know. The person I killed is called Tang Yuqi, a detective who returned from overseas. Pure Cold Master nodded and said, okay, the purpose of your trip this time is to kill this Tang Yuqi. Don't get involved in other things. Do you hear me? Especially avoid Lin Yi. You know about the Purine, right? Pingliang paused for a moment before asking. I know. Don't worry, Mad Dragon Patriarch. I will hide from Lin Yi. I also heard about Lin Yi's matter. I'm not a match for this kind of person at all. He can kill 2 masters with the strength of the peak late stage of Heaven class. It's definitely easy to deal with me, so I won't be stupid enough to die. Pure Cold Master said. That's good. I don't want our everyday sect to suffer any more losses. Zhong Pingliang said, when you see Lin Yi, you must hide far away. Don't provoke him. Otherwise, your death will be in vain, and I won't be able to avenge you for the time being. Yes, I understand. I'll be careful, August Patriarch Wild Dragon. When I see Lin Yi, I hide far away. Pure Cold Master was actually quite afraid. Even if Zhong Pingliang didn't say anything, he wouldn't dare to provoke Lin Yi casually. Lin Yi wasn't a normal person at all. Whoever provoked him would die. He hadn't lived long enough. All right, go ahead and investigate before taking action. Zhong Pingliang waved his hand, indicating that Pure Cold Skymaster could go. All right. Pure Cold Empyrean cupped his fists and retreated. Only Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang and Zhong Pingliang were left. Pingliang stood up and said to Pure Yang, "Let's go. Come with me to see Pao Zi. As long as Lin Yi doesn't die, he'll be able to survive. I wonder if he'll be able to overcome his inner demons. Yeah, Nai Peo is the hope of our sect. Don't go on like this." Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang said worriedly. "Then what should we do?" Zhong Pingliang frowned. "There's still a way to burn the boats." Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang thought about it and said, "Master, this method has a certain degree of danger, but it can also succeed." "Oh, what method? Tell me." Zhong Pingliang was instantly interested. As long as Zhang Naipeo could recover, taking a little risk was worth it. The way now is to provoke him again. Attack him with all your strength. If you attack him too much, you might be able to stimulate the desire for revenge in his body. This way, he can also walk out of his inner demons. Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang said, "What about the consequences?" Zhong Pingliang asked. "If it doesn't succeed, then Naipeo will sink deeper and deeper. It might be even more difficult for him to walk out of the shadow of failure. He'll be in his inner demons for the rest of his life." Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang said, "In that case, if it's not good, it'll at most be worse. But the current situation isn't much better than worse. There's no harm in trying." Zhong Pingliang thought about it for a moment and nodded. "All right, let's go and try it now. As long as we exaggerate Lin Yi's capabilities and tell Naipeo about Pure Yin's death, it'll be enough." Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang said quickly after seeing that Zhong Pingliang had agreed. In fact, he wanted to give it a try as well. If it didn't work, he'd die trying. He was just afraid that Zhong Pingliang wouldn't agree to it. Now that Zhong Pingliang agreed, there was no problem. As they spoke, the two arrived at Naipeo's resting place. They opened the door and saw Naipeo sitting quietly on the bed with a dull look in his eyes. It seemed like Naipeo was still stuck in his own inner demons and hadn't come out. "Pao, I'm here to see you." Zhong Pingliang sighed and said, "I wanted to kill Lin Yi and avenge you. I didn't expect Lin Yi to be so strong. Even Pure Yin died in Lin Yi's hands. Lin Yi can actually kill 2 Sky-class late-phase peak masters at the same time. I really don't know what to do with him now." "That's right, Naipeo. Lin Yi is very talented, and the arts he practices are very magical. He can fight enemies above his level. He's a #1 in every level. It was the same when he was at Mystic, Earth, and now Sky. Ordinary cultivators like us are not the best in a certain realm. Our only hope is you. You can be the best in a certain realm. Our hopes are all pinned on you. Only when you grow up can you get rid of Lin Yi. Otherwise, we are not his match." Pure Yang Heavenly Venerate said helplessly. "Ah, no." Naipeo suddenly roared and stood up, holding his head. "I can't accept this. I want to kill Lin Yi. I want to work hard for Liang Bro." With that, Naipeo looked like he was in pain as he spun around on the ground, screaming nonstop. Zhong Pingliang and Pure Yang looked at each other, both seeing relief in each other's eyes. Naipeo had walked out. As long as he regained his confidence, his desire for training, and his hatred for Lin Yi, everything would be fine. As expected, after a while, Naipeo's eyes became clear again, no longer cloudy and dim. Instead, they were filled with determination and determination. "Liang Bro, Shifu, I will work hard. I will train hard and kill Lin Yi. For Master Purine, for Liang Bro, I will kill Lin Yi," Naipeo said firmly. Chapter 3169. "Don't worry, Liang Bro, I don't know what happened to me before, but it was like I was possessed. I know my weakness now. I was too careless before, and I couldn't kill Lin Yi straight away. Instead, I let him drag things out, unlike Lin Yi, who always ambushes, attacks first, or tries to stall for time. I, on the other hand, was too proud and complacent. Through this incident, I've learned one thing. Nothing is real, only defeating the enemy is real. There's no need to talk too much. Just start the fight. Naipeo said. Great, Naipeo. You've finally figured out what it means to fight. But who hasn't been young and arrogant before? I have it. And so do pure een and pure cold. It's just that we're lucky that we didn't encounter a freak like Lin E. Our strength can suppress the other party. But now, with Lin E, the number one person who isn't weaker than you, we can only place our hopes on you. Pure Yang Empyrean said. Yeah, pal. You need to train hard. That's the only way for us to have hope. Pinliang smiled as he patted Naipeo's shoulder. Although Chunin was dead, Naipeo had walked out his heart demon and returned to reality. This was something worth celebrating. As for the pure Yang Sky Master, he went to call Feng Tianhu. Chunyang, how is it? What did the elders say? Feng Tianhu finally received Chunyang's call as he waited anxiously. Feng Tianhu, the elders said that we shouldn't get involved in this for now. After all, Chunin has just fallen, and we don't have enough people to deal with Lin Yi. We haven't figured out Lin Yi's situation yet, so we'll just be sending ourselves to our deaths if we act rashly. So, you should think of a way yourself. Chunyang said. Think of a way myself? Feng Tianhu sighed. In fact, he had guessed this would happen. After all, the everyday sect wasn't idiots. They just kill someone? Wasn't that just courting death? However, I can remind you that in the ancient times, there was a blood-cloth Yellow Spring sect. It was an assassin group. I think you should know about it. If you don't have any good people on hand, you can hire them to work for you. Pure Yang Heavenly Venerate said no more. All right, that is all I have to say. Blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect? Feng Tianhu's eyes suddenly lit up. Yes, why didn't he think of it before? If he asked the Blood Underworld sect to deal with Lin Yi, it would save him a lot of trouble. Thinking of this, Feng Tianhu said, I understand. Thank you for your advice, Heavenly Venerable Pure Yang. Good luck. Empyrean Pure Yang hung up and didn't say anything else. He was afraid that this matter would bring trouble to himself and bring him trouble. After Feng Tianhu hung up the phone, he immediately found the contact number of the Bloodcloth Underworld sect and dialed the phone number of the Bloodcloth Underworld sect's manager, Grandmaster In's son. At this moment, Grandmaster In's son was calling Old Man Lin to report what happened here. He told Lin Dongfang about how Pure In Heavenly Venerate and Dongfang Inxing teamed up to deal with Lin Yi. Old Master, don't blame us for not reporting back. Why didn't you act on your own? You did nothing wrong. Don't blame yourselves. Lin Dongfang was also shocked and broke out in a cold sweat. If two peak late-stage heaven stage experts really went to cause trouble for Lin Yi, how would Lin Yi deal with it? Wouldn't he be dead for sure? But why didn't Mo Kongwen calculate it before? Why didn't he make a move? This made Lin Dongfang very puzzled. Yes, could it be that Mo Kongwen had already calculated the factor of the Bloodcloth Underworld sect? Thinking about it, Lin Dongfang felt that it was very possible. After all, Mo Kongwen could even calculate the inheritors clearly. Now that it had come true, under some kind of coincidence, with the right place and identity, Lin Yi could establish a relationship with all the inheritors. Now that he thought about it, Lin Dongfang felt that it was a little unbelievable. This kind of divination technique that could change fate was no longer a simple divination technique. It was almost the same as the means of the gods. After we killed him, we asked Master to help us keep it a secret. In fact, we wanted to give this credit to Master. This way, Master can temporarily be safe for a period of time. Grandmaster In's son said, You guys did well. Lin Dongfang said, However, don't interfere too much. An appropriate amount of danger is still beneficial to Little Yi's growth. We understand. This time we had no choice. As long as Master can handle it, we will definitely not interfere. Grandmaster In's son said. On the other side, Grandmaster In's son had just ended his phone call with Lin Dongfang when his phone rang again. Those who had his phone number were people from the ancient level. If it was an assassination mission from other levels, they would contact other people in the sect. Hello, this is Grandmaster In Sr. Grandmaster In, son, picked up the phone. Grandmaster In, son, I am Feng Tianhu from the ancient Feng family. I want to do business with your sect. After Feng Tianhu picked up the phone, He went straight to the point. Because the Feng family and the Bloodcloth Underworld sect had no relationship, it was better to get straight to the point. Oh, who do you want to kill? The ancient Feng family. Do you still need our Bloodcloth Underworld sect to do it? Grandmaster Ian's son asked with some doubts. I want to kill someone personally. It has nothing to do with the Feng family. Feng Tianhu said, so please help me. Oh, what's the strength of this person? Grandmaster Ian's son asked. Early heaven stage. Feng Tianhu replied. 1 billion. Grandmaster Ian's son gave a price. Of course, this price was considered fair. It was basically the price of friendship in the ancient level. Okay, I'll send this person's information to your mailbox. Feng Tianhu didn't mention the fact that Lin Yi could fight an enemy above his level. If he did, it would only make the price of the assassination even higher. Anyway, Feng Tianhu didn't lie to the Bloodcloth Underworld sect. This Lin Yi was originally an expert in the early heaven stage. Soon, Grandmaster Ian's mailbox received an email. However, when Grandmaster Ian's son saw the information, his face suddenly changed. He was so angry that he dialed Feng Tianhu's number again. Grandmaster Ian's son, how is it? When can you carry out the mission? Feng Tianhu thought that Grandmaster Ian's son called to confirm the mission, so he didn't think much and asked directly. Chapter 3170. Feng Tianhu froze. What Don't you know that Lin Yi can fight those stronger than him? Our heaven-class mid-phase master died in Lin Yi's hands, and I heard that 2 heaven-class late-phase peak masters also died in Lin Yi's hands. Do you want us to be cannon fodder, or what? The ancient ancestor didn't give Feng Tianhu a chance to interrupt. But Lin Yi is indeed a heaven-class early-phase master. Feng Tianhu's forehead was covered in cold sweat. So the Blood Yellow Spring sect had already tried to assassinate Lin Yi, still didn't succeed, and they were well informed. Lin Yi had just killed 2 heaven-class late-phase peak masters, and the Blood Yellow Spring sect already knew about it, although he knew that the news would definitely spread after he told the Dongfang family. He didn't expect it to be so fast. It seemed like the Blood Yellow Spring sect's intelligence agency couldn't be underestimated. Feng Tianhu, I'm telling you, we won't take this job. Not only that, you will also become an unwelcome person in the Blood Yellow Spring sect. You better be careful, stay at home, and don't go out. If I see you, I'll definitely kill you. The Yin-Sun ancestor threatened. You dare to trick us? If you said it was Lin Yi earlier, we wouldn't take this mission even if it was 10 billion. Yes, I'm really sorry. It's my negligence. Feng Tianhu was depressed. He didn't kill Lin Yi and instead offended the Blood Yellow Spring sect. It was all his fault for trying to save money, but now the Blood Yellow Spring sect wanted to kill him instead. Oomph. The Yinsen ancestor hung up the phone. He threatened Feng Tianhu so that he wouldn't come out and target Lin Yi, but he couldn't make it too obvious, so he could only threaten him. Dark Phoenix Palace. After Chu Mengyao officially became the Palace Master of Dark Phoenix Palace, she settled down in the Dark Phoenix mountain range, in the house that Yi Wana used to live in. Mengyao had accidentally consumed a Dark Phoenix before, and the Dark Phoenix had changed her constitution, making her the same as the founder of the Dark Palace. So on the first night of her stay in the Dark Phoenix mountain range, the Dark Phoenix mountain range Mengyao successfully accepted the inheritance. That night, the Dark Phoenix mountain range shone with a golden light, illuminating the galaxy. All the disciples of the Dark Phoenix Palace felt this strange phenomenon. Under the leadership of the Grand Elder, they gathered at the training field of the Dark Phoenix mountain range to observe this strange phenomenon. He has accepted the inheritance. Elder Li, Yao Yao's physique is really unparalleled, unexpectedly on the first day. He accepted the inheritance. The senior elder was extremely emotional. At this moment, tears streamed down her face. Even though she was a snobbish and mean person, one had to admit that she had no selfish motives. She had dedicated her entire life to the sect. Of course, it couldn't be said that this was right. Elderly didn't agree with the Supreme Elder's character, but there was nothing he could do. Everyone had their own way of doing things. He couldn't ask the Supreme Elder to change it. Fortunately, Meng Yao had accepted the inheritance, and her position in the Dark Phoenix Palace had risen. She was truly below one person and above 10,000 people. Moreover, this was just a saying. With the Miss current position, the Grand Elder might not dare to refute her words. The two were in the Dark Phoenix Palace. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that they were on equal footing. Elder Li's position rose as well. He was Yuan Er's supporter, so naturally, he was also Meng Yao's supporter. The Grand Elder also used him again, and his position in the Dark Phoenix Palace was only below the Grand Elder and Meng Yao. Grand Elder, let's go get the mantra of the Dark Palace, and let Yao Yao choose one to cultivate? Elder Li reminded. After accepting the inheritance, she could officially start training, and the training speed would be very fast. All right, we'll go now. The Grand Elder nodded and went to the library with Elder Li. In actuality, the Dark Phoenix Palace had two high-level arts of the gold element. One was called the Art of the Golden Rooster Cry, and the other was the Art of the Phoenix Silkworm. The Grand Elder and Yi Wan both practiced the Art of the Golden Rooster Cry, and the Art of the Phoenix Silkworm could only be trained by the inheritor. Yi Wan was training while waiting for the inheritance, so naturally, she chose the Art of the Golden Rooster Cry. I wonder if Yao Yao can train the Art of the Phoenix Silkworm. Elder Li said hesitantly as he looked at the two arts the Grand Elder took out. I hope so. The Grand Elder also hoped that Meng Yao could train in the Art of the Phoenix Silkworm. This art was stronger than the Art of the Golden Rooster Cry. Although both could allow one to break through to Sky-class late phase peak, the Art of the Phoenix Silkworm had more benefits. However, not everyone could train in this art. Up until now, only the founder of the Dark Phoenix body could train in this art. The others couldn't. Meng Yao, on the other hand, had the same physique as the Grandmaster, and the way she received it was the same. Naturally, the Grand Elder was looking forward to it, hoping that Meng Yao could train in the Silkworm Phoenix art as well. After choosing the arts, the two went up to the Dark Phoenix mountain range. At this moment, the golden light was starting to dim, and the sky was starting to turn white. Morning was almost here. When the golden light disappeared completely, the Grand Elder and Elder Li looked at each other, knowing that the inheritance had ended, and so the two pushed the door open and entered Meng Yao's room. Meng Yao was sitting cross-legged on the cushion, resting, evidently still in the illusion of the inheritance. The two didn't rush her, and they didn't disturb her. They just stood there and waited. After another hour or so, Meng Yao slowly woke up. She opened her eyes and saw the Grand Elder and Elder Li, but she didn't stand up to greet them. She was the Palace Master, and she didn't need to greet the Grand Elder. Grand Elder, Elder Li, you're here? Meng Yao said, I've received the inheritance, and the feeling is the same as in my dream. It's the same as in the records of the Dark Palace. This feeling, it's so mysterious. Can I start cultivating now? That's right. The Grand Elder was pleasantly surprised. Elder Li and I came here this time to prepare the mantra for you. I have 2 mantra here. You can choose. With that, the Grand Elder passed the 2 manuals to Meng Yao. Chapter 3171. The name's a little weird, but they're all good stuff. The Grand Elder smiled. Elder Li and I suggest that you practice the art of the Silkworm Phoenix summoning. It's better than the Golden Rooster Cry. It's the best one we have, and it's the one that's most compatible with the inheritor. Oh, what did this mantra mean? What's the benefit? Meng Yao thought about it. The name of the art Lin Yi was practicing was pretty lame, so she picked up the art of the Silkworm Phoenix summoning and asked. This mantra is said to be a mantra created by the silkworm in ancient times. Our ancestor discovered that this mantra is very compatible with the Dark Phoenix physique of our Dark Knight Palace. And after she cultivated it, she was indeed very powerful. But we don't have the Dark Phoenix body, so we weren't able to practice it. The Grand Elder explained. Silkworm? Who's that? Meng Yao blinked. Silkworm, the wife of Emperor Xianyuan in the ancient times. He had 4 concubines and 10 concubines, and Silkworm was his first wife. The Grand Elder explained. Silkworm is Xuanyuan's wife? The eldest miss blushed without warning. She was a little shy, but also a little sweet. This caused the Supreme Elder and Elderly to be a little dumbfounded. Palace Lord, what's going on? Meng Yao was quick to connect the dots. Lin Yi's art was called the Art of Dragon Mastery, and hers was called the Art of the Silkworm Phoenix Summoning. Xian Yuan and Silkworm, Dragon and Phoenix, all corresponded with each other. Didn't that mean that she and Lin Yi corresponded with each other as well? The miss started blushing at the thought. Silkworm was Xuanyuan's first wife? Was she the same? Yes, it should be. They kissed before, and that meant they were in love. The miss started thinking about random things. Ahem. Palace Master, what's wrong? Elderly couldn't help but ask. Nothing. Meng Yao, of course, couldn't say what she was thinking. She shook her head quickly. I'm training in the Silkworm Phoenix art. It's pretty good. The name's pretty good too. Of course. The Grand Elder was puzzled as well. Meng Yao was just saying that the name was weird. Why did it sound nice now? But the Grand Elder didn't want to know about these things. It was enough as long as Meng Yao practiced the best arts. Yao Yao, this mantra, we haven't practiced it before. You have to figure it out yourself. If you don't understand anything, you can find us to discuss it together. All right, I understand. Meng Yao nodded, her expression returning to normal. Then Elderly, and I will return first. The very high Elder said, You have successfully accepted the inheritance. This is an important piece of news. I will go inform the sect disciples and congratulate them. All right. Meng Yao stood up and sent the Grand Elder and Elderly off before returning to the cushion. She looked at the Silkworm Phoenix art in her hands, a sweet smile on her face. She might not be by Lin Yi's side for now, but the next time she went back, she believed that she'd be strong enough to be Lin Yi's right hand. At that thought, Meng Yao opened up the Silkworm Phoenix art in her hands and started reading the mantra. The Art of Silkworm Exorcism Phoenix was a line of large words, and below those words was the text of the mantra. First stage, Sky Silkworm. Mortals are like ants. How can they change the path of Tao and control the world? Meng Yao frowned slightly at the tone, but continued reading anyway. The first stage of the Phoenix summoning art was separated into early, mid, and late stages. Of course, there weren't any clear boundaries, and there wasn't any level barrier either. She'd be able to reach the completion of the first stage as long as she kept accumulating and working hard. After the first stage, there was the second, the third. But Meng Yao didn't look at them. To her, mastering the first stage was the most important thing. Back in the common world, Meng Yao had always wanted to become a practitioner, and now that she had the chance, she didn't rest. She started training day and night. Training didn't take time, and in the blink of an eye, Meng Yao had spent more than half a month in the dark Phoenix mountain range. Perhaps it was because of the abundance of energy in the mountain range and the fact that she was an inheritor. Her training speed could be said to be 1,000 miles a day. The Silkworm Phoenix art wasn't easy to train, but the Miss willpower was amazing. She didn't need to sleep to train every day, and it was similar to Lin Yi's willpower when he first started on the path of cultivation. It was this godlike speed of training and her hardworking attitude that made the Grand Elder value Meng Yao more and more. She saw Meng Yao as the hope of the sect's resurgence. In such a short period of time, Meng Yao had already gone from a normal person to the peak of the late phase of the golden class. There was no level barrier for inheritors who successfully received the inheritance. So not only was Meng Yao's training fast, but she also had no bottlenecks. As long as she broke through with the mantra, it would be very easy for her to become a sky class. But the Dark Phoenix mantra of the Dark Palace wasn't that easy to train. Meng Yao may be a golden class late phase peak now, but the mantra was still stuck at the first stage, and she hadn't broken through to the second stage. As a result, Meng Yao's training speed slowed down as well. The first stage of the mantra couldn't absorb the energy from the heaven and earth anymore, and it wasn't enough for her to break through to the early phase of the mystic class. So, Meng Yao chose to take a break for now. Ever since Meng Yao stepped onto the path of cultivation, she could be considered to have full control over the Dark Palace. The Grand Elder didn't interfere with Meng Yao's matters anymore. and Meng Yao could communicate with the outside world as she wished. The first thing Meng Yao wanted to do after finishing her training was to call home. As for who to call first, Meng Yao didn't even think about it before calling the villa's number. In fact, Meng Yao had wanted to call Pingzhan and ask her mother how Yiwaner was doing, but she couldn't help but dial the villa's number when she picked up the phone. Chapter 3172. Although, during these days of training in the Palace of Darkness, Meng Yao would sometimes regret not understanding her feelings earlier when she returned to reality from her training state. She didn't say it until they were separated, but Meng Yao was glad that she wouldn't be able to understand her feelings if it wasn't for this separation. The phone rang a few times, but no one picked up. After a while, it turned into an automated message. "Hello. This is the home of the universe's super invincible cute genius prophecy secret detective, Shu 007. If you want to leave a message for Shu, please press 1. If you want to leave a message for Shield Bro, please press 2. If you want to leave a message for Yao Yao Sis, please hang up. She's on a long trip." Meng Yao almost burst out laughing at the last line. She knew the first few lines of the autograph, since she'd had it at home. The second line was obviously Yushu's doing. But Meng Yao was puzzled. Where did the people in the villa go? Why wasn't anyone picking up? Meng Yao looked at the time subconsciously, realizing that it was already midnight. She trained day and night and didn't really care about the time. In the Palace of Darkness, there were disciples on duty day and night, and the strong practitioners basically used training as a replacement for sleep. But even if it was midnight, Lin, he should still be picking up the phone. Besides, if it was midnight, there should be someone in the house, right? Meng Yao dialed Lin Yi's number curiously, wanting to ask him where he was. On Lin Yi's side, he had Qintian and San Huang take care of Pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing's bodies. Not long after he returned to the villa, his phone rang. Seeing the familiar caller ID, Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. This was the missed calling? Yao Yao? Lin Yi picked up, a little surprised. "And it's me, Lin Yi. Are you all right?" Meng Yao's voice was calm, just like how she always sounded when she called Lin Yi. There was a natural warmth in her voice. "I'm fine, how about you?" Lin Yi didn't tell Meng Yao about the 2 Sky-class late phase peak masters. He didn't want Meng Yao to worry. Since it was over, it didn't matter anymore. "I'm fine too. My position in the Palace of Darkness is even higher than Xiao Xiao's in the Ice Palace. The Grand Elder doesn't really care about me now, so I'm quite free." Meng Yao was a little proud of herself. It seemed that she wasn't the most useless one. At the very least, she was pretty good among all of Lin Yi's women. "That's good." Lin Yi nodded. This was what he was most worried about. He'd be relieved if Meng Yao was fine in the Palace of Darkness. "You've already started training? How's the progress?" "It's pretty good. The mental cultivation method I cultivate is called the art of silkworm driving phoenix. It has a strange reputation, just like your mental cultivation method. Both are weird." Meng Yao didn't mention the connection between the two, but she believed that with Lin Yi's intelligence, he'd be able to figure it out easily. The miss knew how to hint now. Art of silkworm driving phoenix? Lin Yi paused. She knew who the silkworm was. She was the wife of Xianyuan Emperor, and the name of Meng Yao's mental cultivation method was very similar to his own. Lin Yi didn't believe that Meng Yao didn't notice it, and he felt that the miss was hinting at something as well. He smiled. "Yeah, it's pretty much the same as mine. Maybe it's the same type of mental cultivation method. Who knows? We might even be able to train together." "Die." The miss blushed a little. Although she confessed her feelings to Lin Yi, it was just a confession after all. The two of them didn't get together after that. Although there were some flirtatious moments in their lives, they weren't in a relationship. The miss was still very shy at this moment. She wasn't used to Lin Yi's teasing. "I'm just joking. I'm a golden class late phase peak now. It's about the same as when you first came to Songshan." "Oh, that's fast." Lin Yi was a little surprised. "Not bad," the miss said proudly. "Right, where's Shu? Why didn't you guys pick up the phone?" "Oh, we were doing something in the yard. Not in the villa," Lin Yi said vaguely. "You? With Shu? In the yard in the middle of the night?" Meng Yao's tone was a little weird. Lin Yi, Don't tell me you were having sex with Shu in the wild? Ugh. Lin paused. He didn't know if he should laugh or cry. However, he couldn't blame Meng Yao for thinking too much. Lin Yi's tone was indeed a little mysterious. It made people suspicious. Lin Yi smiled. Are you jealous, Yao Yao? Jealous? Wouldn't you have died if you wanted to be jealous? What did Xiao Xiao, Xin Yan, and Jing Jing say? Meng Yao said impatiently. Besides, it's not a big deal if it's Shu. She always wants to be a small wife. I'm used to it. Man, it's just 2 guests. Let's go check it out. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Shu and I. If we wanted to do something, it would have happened a long time ago. There's no need to wait for you to leave. It's not like you don't know what kind of person Shu is. She doesn't need to hide from you if she wants to do something. That's true. Meng Yao nodded. She felt that she was overthinking. As long as you're fine, I'll give my dad a call and Shu a call. If you need anything, just text me. I'll turn off my phone when I'm cultivating. I'll contact you after I finish cultivating and see your text. Okay, Yao Yao. Take care. Lin Yi said. All right, I'm fine here. Don't worry. Meng Yao smiled. After hanging up, Lin Yi relaxed a little. It seemed that Meng Yao was doing well in the Palace of Darkness. Lin Yi couldn't help but admire the Mississippi. She had a strong aura and was able to control the situation. Meng Yao's second call was to Peng Zhan. Yao Yao. Peng Zhan was a businessman. Naturally, he wouldn't turn off his phone. He was surprised and happy when he received Meng Yao's call. There was no news from Meng Yao ever since she left. Peng Zhan was worried, but there was nothing he could do. After all, he knew the Palace of Darkness better than anyone. If he could contact them, then he could. If he couldn't, then there was nothing he could do. It had been so many years, and there was no news from Yi Wan-er. Meng Yao had just left. How could he expect any news from her? So Peng Zhan was prepared to not see his daughter for 10 years. Chapter 3173. It's me, Daddy, I miss you. Meng Yao heard Peng Zhan's voice, filled with emotions. I miss you too, Yao Yao. How are you doing in the Palace of Darkness? How come you can call me? Did the Grand Elder allow you to contact the outside world? Have you been in contact with Lin Yi? Peng Zhan asked a bunch of questions. I'm the Palace Master of the Palace of Darkness now. No one can stop me from doing what I want here. Meng Yao said proudly. Daddy, don't worry about me. I'm fine here. The Grand Elder won't ask anything of me. Peng Zhan was startled. He didn't expect Meng Yao to be this powerful. Yi Wan-er used to be the Palace Master of the Palace of Darkness, but she didn't have much power. Meng Yao, on the other hand, was different. She just entered the Palace of Darkness and had already obtained the position she deserved. Daddy, I've successfully accepted the inheritance, and I'm now a golden class late phase peak, so the Grand Elder is very happy. Meng Yao explained, right? Have you seen Mommy? Are you guys all right? Your mom? Peng Zhan paused, quickly asking, Yao Yao, you said that your mom is back. Yeah. You didn't see her? Meng Yao was shocked, thinking that there wouldn't be a problem. Would there? One had to know that Yi Wan had gone back half a month ago. Why wasn't she home yet? No. Could it be that your mom is back? Peng Zhan was shocked as well, suddenly realizing that something was wrong. Daddy, wait. I'll contact you later. Meng Yao was panicking. Logically speaking, with Yi Wan-er's Sky Class early phase strength, there shouldn't be any danger. But Yi Wan-er did go back, but she didn't go home. So where could she go? Even if she was a Sky Class early phase, Meng Yao didn't feel at ease. After all, the Dongfang people were all Sky Class masters, and Yi Wan-er really wasn't their match. So Meng Yao had to find Yi Wan-er as soon as possible. Okay, if you have news of your mom, let me know immediately. Peng Zhan was panicking as well. Meng Yao hung up. He immediately went to look for the Grand Elder. Now, Meng Yao had a lot of authority in the Palace of Darkness. She could go in and out of any place she wanted, something Yi Wan never had before. Even the Grand Elder's residence. Meng Yao could also enter without notifying anyone. And this was also the reason why the Grand Elder could come and ask Meng Yao whenever she had any problems during her training. So now, the disciples of the Dark Palace could see that Meng Yao was the real Palace Master, different from when Yi Wan-er was on the throne. The era of the Supreme Elder's word was already over. No one dared to go against Ming Yao's words. Whatever she said, it was the same as what the Grand Elder said. That was authority. Greetings, Palace Master. The maid beside the Grand Elder used to be a very powerful existence. He wouldn't be polite to Yi Wan, but to Ming Yao, he was very respectful. They knew very well that Ming Yao wanted them dead. The Grand Elder didn't hesitate at all. Yao Yao, you're here. Grand Elder warmly welcomed her. She was all smiles when she saw Ming Yao. The more she looked, the more satisfied she was. And, Grand Elder, I called my father just now, and he said that my mother didn't go back to Donghai. Didn't our people escort her back? Ming Yao asked directly. What? Wanner didn't go back. That's impossible. It's our people who accompanied her all the way to Peng Zhan's company. How could they not have gone back? The elder paused, puzzled. All the way to the company? But my father said that he didn't see her. Ming Yao's heart skipped a beat. Did something really happen? Yao Yao, don't worry. I'll call the Dark Shadow Group right away. We still have people in the East Ocean City. Especially after one went back. I asked Elderly to send more people. They didn't report any bad news, which means that one is fine. The Grand Elder said, and sent someone to call Elderly. Elderly regained control of the Dark Shadow Group because of Ming Yao, and his power in the Palace of Darkness was at its peak. After Elderly arrived, the Grand Elder told Elderly about Yi Wanner's situation and said, Elderly, go ask the members of the Dark Shadow Group in East Ocean City where Wanner is right now. Okay, I'll go ask now. Elderly said and went to make the call. About 10 minutes later, Elderly came back with a weird look on his face and said to Ming Yao and the Grand Elder, Palace Master, the Dark Shadow Group said that Elder Yi is staying in a hotel opposite Pingzhan Industries in Donghai. She's been staying in the hotel ever since she came to Donghai. She'll go out occasionally and take a look at Pingzhan's place, but she won't stay overnight. She'll come back to stay at night. Staying in a hotel nearby? So my mom didn't meet my dad? She goes home at night and only stays outside? Ming Yao heard this and felt that it was strange. Yes, but we can't be sure. After all, the Dark Shadow Group can't follow too closely. Elder Yi is also a sky class. She'll be discovered if she gets too close. Elderly said. Then, do you have any way of contacting my mom? Ming Yao asked. Yes, but we need to get the Dark Shadow Group to look for her in the hotel room, because Elder Yi doesn't have a phone or any other communication tools. Elderly said and suddenly thought of something. There's another way, which is to find the number in her hotel room and call her directly. Then we'll go with the second method. Elderly, go check it out now. Ming Yao said. Okay, I'll go ask them now. Elderly nodded. After a while, Elderly came back and passed a piece of paper with a phone number to Yi Wanner and said, Palace Master, this is the number in Elder Ye's room. Ming Yao let out a sigh of relief and nodded. She took the phone number and walked out of the room to call her mother Yi Wan. The Grand Elder and Elderly didn't follow her out, obviously not wanting to eavesdrop on Ming Yao. Chapter 3174. Mom. Ming Yao's heart ached when she heard the voice. She couldn't understand why her mother would hide in the hotel and not meet her father. Yao Yao. Wanner paused, not expecting Ming Yao to call her in her hotel room. But after a while, she understood that the Dark Palace's Dark Shadow Group must be paying attention to her. So it wasn't surprising that Ming Yao could get her number. You got my number from the Dark Shadow Group? Yes. Elderly just gave it to me, Ming Yao said. Yao Yao, Mama's very happy. It seems like you really have a foothold in the Dark Palace, and you've obtained the power of the Palace Master. Wanner sighed. She had been in the Dark Palace for so many years. How would she dare to call home? But Ming Yao dared, and not only that, Elderly also regained his power. All of this was probably brought by Yao Yao. Wanner couldn't understand her daughter. Although the two looked similar, her daughter was much stronger than her. Yes, Mom, let's not talk about this first. Why don't you meet Dad? He misses you a lot. Ming Yao quickly asked. Yao Yao. Wanner fell silent. She returned to Donghai, but she didn't go see Pingzhan immediately because she was excited and worried. It had been so many years, and she hadn't seen Pingzhan. How could she not be excited? However, her daughter had sacrificed herself for her return, and Pengzhan had lost his daughter in exchange for his wife. As a result, Yuan didn't dare face Pengzhan. After all these years, she hadn't fulfilled her duty as a wife, and Pengzhan hadn't found anyone else, not even a lover. This made feel very guilty. She felt that she owed Pengzhan and didn't know how to face him. So she hid in the hotel and watched Pengzhan secretly, not daring to meet him. "Mom, what's wrong? Is there something you can't say?" Mengyao was confused. "I don't know how to face your dad. It's been so many years and I can't be by his side. I can't even call him. I suddenly appeared and came back, and I don't dare to go see him." Wan smiled bitterly and told Mengyao her worries. Wan Er's words made Mengyao not know whether to laugh or cry. She could only comfort her. "Mother, don't worry. It's a good thing that you're back. It's not your fault. It's the rules of the Palace of Darkness. Aren't they all fine now? Now think about it. Your mother is too weak. What rules? Yeah, you can ignore these rules. But I can't." Wan blamed herself. "It's not the same, actually." Mengyao smiled, comforting her. "Mom, I've accepted the inheritance. That's why in the Palace of Darkness, their words carry enormous weight. But you didn't accept the inheritance, so it's not your fault." "Ah, you've already accepted the inheritance?" Yuan was a little surprised. He didn't expect Mengyao to accept the inheritance so quickly. "And so, only the Grand Elder would give me the greatest support and freedom, but you're different, so you don't have to blame yourself. Hurry up and find Daddy. He already knows that you're back. If you don't go now, he'll definitely come looking for you." Mengyao said. "Ah, you already told him?" Yuan was startled. Naturally, she knew how much Pengzhan cared about her. She could tell from the fact that Pengzhan hadn't had anything with other women in years, so it was possible that Pengzhan would come looking for her. "And so you need to make a decision quickly," Mengyao said. "How about this? Yao, give me a few more days to get used to it. I've left the Palace of Darkness, and it's been a long time since I've come to the common world. I want to calm down for a few more days." Yuan said. Then, "All right." Mengyao didn't force Yuan anymore. She knew that her mother and herself were people with many things on their minds. They were always hesitating, just like how she was with Lin Yi. But after hanging up, Mengyao dialed Pengzhan's number again. Sometimes, people with this kind of personality needed someone to add fuel to the fire. Mengyao herself was the same. If it wasn't for Shu, she wouldn't have been able to confess to Lin Yi so smoothly. So, this time, she needed to be the one to add fuel to the fire. Yao, how's it going? Did you find your mother?" Pengzhan had been watching the phone the whole time. He quickly picked it up when Mengyao called. "Dad, go to the XX hotel opposite your company, room 2901. Don't tell anyone I told you." Mengyao said. "Go to the hotel." Pengzhan paused and understood immediately. He smiled. "All right, Yao, I'll go right now. I won't tell your mother. You were the one who told me she was at the hotel." "Huh?" Mengyao laughed. Actually, Yuan could guess it even if Pengzhan didn't tell her. After hanging up, Mengyao let out a sigh of relief. Now that she was done, she needed to go back and call Shu. This call would probably last the whole night. This was one of the reasons why she called Shu in the end. Pengzhan quickly washed up and changed into a suit. He stood in front of the mirror and fixed his hair. In the past, Pengzhan cared a lot about his image. He would fix his hair properly when he went to business, but he had never been as serious as he was today. Pengzhan fixed his hair again and again. However, he couldn't help but sigh when he saw the white hair on his temples in the mirror. No matter what, he was old. In the blink of an eye, he became a middle-aged man. He wondered what Yuan looked like now. Although, in his impression, Yuan still looked like Mengyao, Pengzhan knew that Yuan must be old now. However, no matter what Yuan looked like, Pengzhan's heart never changed. He couldn't wait to see Yuan. Finally, looking at the image in the mirror, Pengzhan was satisfied. He rushed out of the door and drove to the hotel opposite his company. However, when he passed by a vending machine, Pengzhan hesitated and stopped the car. He fiddled with the vending machine and got a small box. Chapter 3175. Peng Zhan had already made up his mind. He was prepared to let Faubert or son Jingyi take care of the business, and then take Yuaner on a trip to Las Vegas to reminisce about his youth. Although Mr. Yang had disappeared for a long time, Peng Zhan couldn't forget those times. He parked the car in front of the hotel, and because his car was very high class, the security didn't question him. Peng Zhan took the elevator to the 29th floor and came to room 2901. He was so excited that his breathing quickened. He reached out his hand, wanted to knock on the door, but couldn't bring himself to do so. Yuaner was a heaven-class early phase master. She could feel it immediately when someone approached the door. She thought it was a waiter, but after waiting for a long time, no one knocked on the door. The person at the door still hadn't left. Yuaner suspected that the person at the door was from the Dark Palace, so she didn't think much. She walked to the door and suddenly opened it. She wanted to see who was secretly following her. If it was the old Yuaner, she wouldn't have done this. Although she was the palace master in name, the people under her didn't listen to her at all. They wouldn't care if she was being followed, but it was different now. Meng Yao had a firm foothold in the Dark Palace, and with that, these people had to respect Yuaner. Otherwise, if they pissed Meng Yao off, they'd end up like Zhao Qibing cleaning the toilet. But when the door opened, Yuaner froze when she saw the person at the door. Peng Zhan didn't expect the door to open abruptly and jumped in fright. But when he saw Yuaner in the room, he was stunned. Yuaner looked the same as when she left. There weren't many changes, just like when she gave birth to Meng Yao. She'd seen Peng Zhan from afar before, but this was the first time she'd seen him up close. She felt a little sad as she looked at Peng Zhan's white sideburns. She'd been gone for so many years, leaving Peng Zhan alone at home. He didn't even call. Yuaner's tears fell like rain. Peng Zhan, you're old. Haha, it's fine if I'm old, but you're not. An old man with a young wife. People would be envious. Peng Zhan smiled. But you wouldn't look down on me, would you? Yuaner shook her head. I'm sorry. For so many years, I left you and Yao Yao here. You didn't have a choice, I understand. However, our daughter is very good. That grand elder is very good. Other than Mr. Yang, only Yao Yao can suppress her. Peng Zhan sighed, and Yuaner couldn't hold it in any longer and threw herself into Peng Zhan's embrace. The two had been separated for more than 10 years, and now they were finally reunited. Peng Zhan held Yuaner in his arms. After entering the room, he casually closed the door. Lingshan had been very troubled lately, for no other reason than that Tang Yuqi's pursuit was getting more and more obvious. Lingshan didn't know what to do. On one hand, Tang Yuqi was one of the best crime-solving experts. With him in the police force, Lingshan felt a lot less pressure. Tang Yuqi only needed to take a look at the cases, and he would be able to solve them easily. On the other hand, Tang Yuqi's salary was very low, the same as the police officers in the team. This made the people in the police force very satisfied with Tang Yuqi. Who wouldn't want such a cheap and capable employee? And so, Lingshan couldn't fire him even if she wanted to. She could only act like she didn't know anything about Tang Yuqi's pursuit. Lingshan, let's have dinner after work. Tang Yuqi finished his work and walked over with a smile. Last night, Tang Yuqi had just used a chi gathering pill and successfully broke through to Sky Class early phase. In actuality, Tang Yuqi didn't want to use pills to level up, but for Lingshan, to make Lingshan think that he was strong, he had to use pills frequently. The resources of the association were very plentiful, and Tang Yuqi was a core member of the association, so he had quite a lot of them. Tang Yuqi heard from other people that Lingshan's criteria for a partner was to be stronger than her. That was why Tang Yuqi was in such a rush to level up. He wanted to increase the distance between him and Lingshan. Lingshan was an Earth class early phase, and if he wanted to increase the distance between them, he had to be a Sky class early phase. No, I still have things to do. Lingshan didn't even raise her head from the case file in her hands. I just broke through to Sky class yesterday. As a colleague and a friend, aren't you going to help me celebrate? Tang Yuqi said. You broke through? Lingshan paused, a little surprised. Tang Yuqi had broken through so many times recently, and he was now a Sky class? Wasn't this a little too fast? Yeah, So why don't we celebrate? Tang Yuqi smiled. I really have things to do today. I'll check the time after I'm done. Even so, Lingshan didn't want to go out alone with Tang Yuqi anymore. She knew what Tang Yuqi was trying to achieve, so she didn't want to eat alone with him anymore. There was already someone in her heart, and she couldn't accept Tang Yuqi anymore. I see. Then I'll wait for you. Tang Yuqi naturally didn't want to give up. Is there anything I can help with? These cases are from the past, and some of the victims' families have been asking about the progress. I want to rearrange these cases and see if there are any clues. Lingshan said, if you don't have anything else, I'll give you half of it, and you can look at it together. Okay. Tang Yuqi was speechless. Many of these cases that had been squeezed out in the past were years old. Looking at them now, not to mention so many cases, it was extremely difficult to find a clue to one of them. How long would it take to sort out all these clues and clues? How is this something that could be done in one night? But since Lingshan said that there was nothing Tang Yuqi could do about it, he could be with Lingshan anyways. Working a little more wasn't a big deal. With that thought, Tang Yuqi picked up a couple of scrolls and started reading. Chapter 3176. Nah, I'll just order some takeout, Lingshan said. Lingshan, why are you always avoiding me? Tang Yuqi finally asked the question he'd been holding in his heart for a long time. He'd been trying his best to maintain his image in front of Lingshan all this time, and he'd found out about Lingshan's criteria for a mate as well. He felt that he fit the criteria perfectly, so he didn't understand why Lingshan wouldn't accept him. He and Lingshan were in the same line of work, and they had plenty of things in common. They were both practitioners too, and he was stronger than Lingshan. These were all things that fit Lingshan's criteria for a mate, but why did Lingshan keep rejecting him? Tang Yuqi didn't think that he wasn't good enough. He felt that the problem lay with Lingshan, and so he gathered his courage to ask. Tang Yuqi, what do you want to say? Lingshan frowned. She'd always known that Tang Yuqi liked her, but this was the first time she'd talked about this so openly and honestly. Lingshan, I want to know, why do you keep rejecting me? Don't you understand what I'm thinking? I like you. Tang Yuqi said loudly. I'm staying here because of you. I feel like we're in the same line of work, and we're both practitioners. I've also heard that your criteria for a mate is that the man has to be stronger than you. I'm satisfied with all that. I don't understand. Why don't you respond to my advances? Tang Yuqi, I believe you've noticed that I've been avoiding this question ever since I found out about your feelings. You should know what I mean. Lingshan said. I didn't say it out loud because we're colleagues, hoping that you'd back off, but I didn't think that you'd do something like this. I didn't think that you'd get stronger and stronger. But since you've said it out loud today, I'll tell you that it's impossible between us. Why? There has to be a reason, right? Lingshan, there has to be a reason for rejecting me. I feel like we're a good match. There's nothing wrong with it. Tang Yuqi said, unwilling to give up. If I had to give you a reason, it would be that I already have someone I like. Lingshan looked at Tang Yuqi. She said firmly, I like him. Is that reason enough? But I've never seen him before. Are you lying to me, Lingshan? Tang Yuqi didn't really believe her. If there really is such a person, then why would he do that? I've been in the police force for quite some time now. It's impossible that I haven't seen them before, right? He was very busy and had many things to do, so I didn't disturb him. Lingshan said, Tang Yuqi, I can't deny that you're very good, but I'm speaking from a very fair perspective. He's much more powerful than you, so please let go of this matter. This is good for all of us. No, I don't believe it. Tang Yuqi said unwillingly, I'm a heaven stage expert, an expert in solving cases. How can he be better than me? Lingshan, don't lie to me. There's no such person, right? Sorry, I don't need to lie to you. Lingshan shrugged. Tang Yuqi, it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. In short, this person really exists. All right, Lingshan, since you say that he's stronger than me, then I'll challenge him to a duel. Let's see who's stronger. Tang Yuqi said, if he's stronger than me, then I'll accept it wholeheartedly. If he's weaker than me, Lingshan, I hope you can reconsider. Tang Yuqi, why are you so stubborn? Ling Shan didn't know what to do, but Tang Yuqi's way of doing things was very gentlemanly. After all, he wanted to compete with Lin Yi, and even if he won, he'd only let Ling Shan consider him. Ling Shan really couldn't say anything harsh to him. I hope you'll give me this chance, Tang Yuqi said firmly. I can't promise you that. If you really want to challenge him, I can find some time to talk to him, but I can't guarantee that he'll accept it. Ling Shan said, all right, if he's really as strong as you say, a big hero, then he'll definitely accept my challenge. He won't be a coward. Tang Yuqi knew how to provoke her, and Ling Shan knew what he was thinking. She only smiled faintly and didn't take it to heart. In fact, Ling Shan hadn't seen Lin Yi in a while, and she missed Lin Yi a lot. But she heard that Lin Yi was very busy these days, being a bodyguard for Su Shihan, and the company's new product was on the market. So she didn't want to disturb Lin Yi. She hadn't encountered any difficult cases that she couldn't solve, either. Tang Yuqi could take care of normal cases, and she didn't need Lin Yi's help. So there was no reason for Ling Shan to ask Lin Yi for help. Now was an opportunity. Lin Yi wanted to challenge him, and Ling Shan could use this to ask Lin Yi out and meet him. This was also why Ling Shan agreed to help Tang Yuqi. I'll talk to him, Ling Shan said. All right, if that's the case, then I won't pester you anymore. I'll take the case file back and look at it. If you want to stay in the office, then we can continue. I'll go back first. Tang Yuqi didn't pester her anymore after achieving his goal. Ling Shan was a little surprised. She nodded. I'll look at it for a while. All right, see you tomorrow. Tang Yuqi didn't say much and left the office with the case file. After Tang Yuqi left, Ling Shan sighed and called Lin Yi. Ling Shan? Lin Yi was a little surprised when he picked up. Ling Shan hadn't contacted him for a while. Is there another case you can't solve? Not really. Ling Shan heard Lin Yi's words and felt a little embarrassed. It was as if she was useless. Every time she looked for Lin Yi, it was to solve a case. She quickly said, it's like this. There's a colleague in the police station who's chasing me. Colleague? Pursue you? Lin Yi paused. You call me just to tell me this? I rejected him and told him that I already have someone I like, but he wants to challenge you, Ling Shan said. Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I'm a practitioner and a sky class at that. He wants to challenge me? Actually, he's a practitioner too, and a sky class. Ling Shan smiled bitterly. Chapter 3177. It's like this. Ling Shan didn't say anything about Tang Yin. He's actually a detective who came back from overseas, very famous. He came to our police station to fight, and he's only taking the salary of an assistant police officer, but he's working as an international detective. We were quite happy that he came, but who knew that his real goal was to pursue a sky class from overseas? Lin, he was even more confused. There's a sky class from overseas? And this heaven rank expert actually ran over here? That's right. He belongs to an organization called the Overseas Practitioners Association. His name is Tang Yuqi. Have you heard of him? Ling Shan said. Tang Yuqi? Lin Yi paused. This name was quite familiar. It took him a bit of time to remember who this person was. Back then, when he went to the movies with Meng Yao and the others, Pin Liang was there as well. He met someone called Tang Yuqi, an overseas detective. Lin Yi's impression of this person wasn't bad. Could this person be a villain? Yes, but this person isn't too bad. He's pursuing me, but he doesn't cross the line. He doesn't have any bad intentions. Ling Shan said, you just need to teach him a lesson and let him back off. Huh? Why would I teach him a lesson? Lin Yi asked. Ling Shan paused, annoyed. Then I'll say yes. What I mean is, you don't have to teach him a lesson. Lin Yi smiled. You're a bad person, Ling Shan said angrily. The dummy girl doesn't want to cultivate with you anymore. Huh? Lin Yi smiled. If Su Shihan goes out one day, ask him out. She's got a lot of enemies, after all. Things have calmed down for now, but I can't guarantee that no one will ambush her again. I can't leave her behind. All right, don't be the bodyguard and become her boyfriend, Ling Shan said enviously. Just like Meng Yao. Yao Yao's gone. Lin Yi sighed. What? Gone? What do you mean? She's dead? Ling Shan asked, shocked. Usually, When someone said gone with a heavy tone, it meant that the person had passed away. Lin Yi's tone wasn't very nice, so Ling Shan couldn't be blamed for thinking too much. Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I went to an ancient sect and became its successor, so I had no choice but to go there. I'll tell you about it when I have the time. She is also an inheritor? Ling Shan was even more surprised. All right, let me know when you're free. Then, when you go out, just give me a call. Okay. Lin Yi nodded. The next morning, Ling Shan told Tang Yuqi about the news. Otherwise, Tang Yuqi wouldn't be able to handle it. Tang Yuqi would still come and bother her. Why not give him a promise? Then, he had to wait patiently. He agreed? Good. I really didn't expect him to be the bodyguard of Superstar. This person's skill should be pretty good, but I'm a heaven rank expert. Is he that confident that he can beat me? Tang Yuqi said to himself. Ling Shan told him that Lin Yi was Su Shihan's bodyguard, and that he was busy these days, so he didn't come looking for her. With that, Tang Yuqi believed her. After all, when a superstar went out, a bodyguard had to be with him 24/7. He agreed, but don't get your hopes up. You're strong, but he's even stronger. Ling Shan poured a bucket of cold water on Tang Yuqi. It's okay, I'll prove myself. Tang Yuqi was full of confidence. After Lin Yi agreed, he didn't bother him anymore and went to look at the case files. Ling Shan was just about to sit down when her phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. She picked it up politely. Hello, I'm Donghai City's Ling Shan from the police station. Her phone might be called by the victim's family or other kind citizens with clues, so Ling Shan wouldn't miss a single call. Officer Song, hello. I'm Tang Yan's mother, Wang Yujia. Meng Yao gave me your number and told me to contact you directly. Mrs. Tang's voice came from the other side. Chapter 3178. And so, the two packed up and drove to the House of Six Tastes. There was a Jeep parked in front of the House of Six Tastes. It was a car Mrs. Tang had asked Shuigu to buy for her. Mrs. Tang had actually bought one for Lin Yi, and she'd thought it was a pretty good one. Shuigu was rich, so she wouldn't offend Mrs. Tang over such a small matter. So she bought it. Ling Shan, right? Mrs. Tang had seen Ling Shan before and had some impression of her. She saw a pretty girl walking over with a young man who looked similar to Tang Juqing. That must be Tang Yuqi. Tang Juqing followed Mrs. Tang out of the car as well. Ling Shan didn't say anything, but Tang Yuqi, who was beside her, was extremely excited. He ran over quickly when he saw Juqing because he could see his father's face. This was his second uncle, no doubt about it. It gave Juqing an innate sense of closeness. Second uncle. Tang Yuqi called out subconsciously. You're Yuqi, right? Juqing was filled with emotions. My brother, your father, is he doing well? Second uncle, my father is healthy, but he's getting old, and he's starting to reminisce about his hometown and you. He's just waiting for me to come back to look for him. I didn't think that with Ling Shan's help, we really did find him, Tang Yuqi said. Second uncle, what are you guys doing now? I heard from Ling Shan that it's a secret. Well, let's talk inside. Juqing looked at Mrs. Tang, not knowing how to answer. Yeah, second uncle, second aunt, look at me. I forget that we're at the entrance of a restaurant. I forgot that we are at the entrance of the restaurant. Please. Tang Yuqi made a gesture of invitation in embarrassment. The House of Six Tastes was one of the most popular restaurants in Donghai. It was a big place, but it didn't have private rooms. Only guests with VIP cards could reserve seats. Normal people couldn't reserve seats and had to wait. Fortunately, Ling Shan was from House Song, a big family in the common world. It wasn't hard to get a membership card. The group entered the House of Six Tastes, but the disciple who was driving didn't follow. He knew his place and didn't dare act presumptuously in front of Annie Wong, who in the Snow Valley didn't know that Annie Wong was the boss. After ordering, Tang Juqing and Tang Yuqi started chatting again. Although the two of them had never met before, Tang Yuqi knew a lot about his father's childhood because of his father's request. Now that he was talking about it with Tang Juqing couldn't help but feel emotional. Ling Shan and Wang Yujia, on the other hand, didn't interrupt allowing the two to talk about family matters. After that, Tang Yuqi talked a lot about his father and him overseas. The relationship between the two families became closer in an instant. At this time, the dishes were served and everyone chatted while eating. The atmosphere was very harmonious. The matter of Lin Yi instantly killing two peak late-stage heaven-rank powerhouses spread in the ancient era, and the forces opposing Lin Yi all felt insecure. Other forces that had nothing to do with Lin Yi were also hesitating whether they should extend an olive branch to Lin Yi. As for those who were on good terms with Lin Yi, they were all very happy. However, as Lin Yi's follower, Feng Shipian wasn't very happy. Dongfang Xiaocui told Feng Shipian everything about her, hoping that he could ask Lin Yi to let Dongfang Xiaocui go. To be honest, Feng Shipian was very angry with Dongfang Xiaocui's doing. She wanted to kill her half-sister, and this sister couldn't threaten her or his position at all, but she still wanted to assassinate her. This made Feng Shipian feel that his mother was very brainless. So he only answered vaguely and didn't agree to help, because he didn't know how to ask Lin Yi for this. He was Lin Yi's follower, yes, but asking for forgiveness for his mother's wrongdoing. Feng Shipian didn't think it was appropriate. After all, he and his father begged Lin Yi to help protect Su Shirhan, and now he wanted Lin Yi to forgive the enemy that targeted Su Shirhan. Wasn't this a conflict? But at the end of the day, Dongfang Xiaocui was Feng Shipian's mother, and Feng Shipian was a very kind person. Since he was willing to help Nitian get the medicine, he couldn't be cruel to his own mother. So, in the end, he still called Lin Yi. Shipian, how is it? Any news? Lin Yi picked up and asked. Boss, it's not that there's news, but there's something I don't know how to tell you. Feng Shipian was hesitant. What's wrong? What can't you say? Lin Yi was confused. Why are you being so polite with me? If you have something to say, just say it. It's like this, boss. The assassination against my sister was actually led by my mother. Feng Shipian said carefully. I know. Isn't your grandfather Dongfang Badeo from the Dongfang family? Lin Yi knew about this, but I'm sorry, I killed your second uncle. Sweat. I don't have any feelings for them, and we haven't lived together since we were young. We rarely see each other. Feng Shipian said, what I mean is, can you forgive my mother? Don't kill her. Why would I kill her? Lin Yi heard Feng Shipian's words and suddenly froze. The thing against my sister was done by my mother, and now the ancient level has spread, saying that you can instantly kill two heaven-class late-phase peak masters. So my mother is afraid that you will take revenge on her. Feng Shipian explained. Shipian, I'm just Xiaoan's bodyguard. I only protect her and not let others hurt her. As for who is targeting her, I really don't need to take the initiative to find them. My purpose is to scare them, so that they don't cause trouble for Xiaohan. That's enough. After listening, Lin Yi said, and even if I want to find trouble, I will go to the Dongfang family, and not her. In fact, protecting Su Shirhan was only Lin Yi's job, and the real enemy of Lin Yi was the Dongfang family. Lin Yi killed Dongfang Jian. This was a trouble that would not stop until he was dead. As for Dongfang Xiaocui, without the Dongfang family, she was a poor woman. Then I'm relieved. Thank you, boss. Feng Shipian said with a sigh of relief. It's nothing. So, Xiaohan is not in danger for the time being? Lin Yi asked. Chapter 3179. Not really. Xiaohan and I are good friends. I can't ignore her safety. Lin Yi said, I can just relax a bit. That's good. I'll let you know if there's anything new, Feng Shipian said. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yi told Shirhan the news. Shirhan was surprised and happy, so I'm not in danger for now. I can go out for a walk. Of course. Lin Yi nodded. He could see that Shirhan had been staying in the villa for a while. She must be bored. Now that she could relax, it was a good thing. Then, can you go out with me? I've been in Donghai for so long. I haven't gone out yet. Shirhan said excitedly. The last time I came to Donghai, I ate at a restaurant called Six Taste House. It was very delicious. Can you bring me there? Su Shirhan had been to Donghai City when she was the spokesperson for Fatty Lie's company. She had eaten at the Six Taste house once, and it made her forget to go home. This time in Donghai City, because someone was after her, she could only stay at home. Now that the danger was over, the first place she thought of was the Six Taste house. Okay, Lenny knew about Six Taste house, but he had never been there before. Fauber had bought takeout from Six Taste house and sent it to them. It was really good. Six Taste house usually didn't allow takeout, but Peng Zhan was the chairman of Donghai Chamber of Commerce. His status was different. Six Taste house was a business in Donghai. No matter how strict the rules were, it was impossible for them to not change. However, Lin Yi heard that people had to line up to get a table, and they couldn't book a table in advance. It was almost noon, so he went there now. He had to line up, so Lin Yi had no choice but to call Han Xiaopa and ask him to book a table. After the collapse of the Hidden House Zhao, the Hidden House Han became the biggest family in Donghai, so House Han was very powerful in Donghai. Booking a table in Six Taste House was a piece of cake. It didn't take long for Han Xiaopa to call back, giving him the number of the table. In the Six Taste House, there were 2 tables for VIPs in case of emergencies. These 2 tables could not be used no matter how many people there were. Instead, it was specially provided for VIPs. Of course, the number of VIP cards issued by the residents of Six Taste was limited. 2 tables were enough. It was rare for the restaurant to be fully occupied, but today it gave the boss of the residents of Six Taste a headache. Early in the morning, 2 VIP tables were booked. If another table of distinguished guests came, there would really be no seats left. Although this kind of situation was rare, the boss of the residents of Six Taste had to be prepared for a rainy day. He still reserved an ordinary seat nearby. Even if no one made an appointment, the reputation of the residents of Six Tastes couldn't be lost. Lin Yi brought Su Shirhan, Cheng Yi, and Yushu to the house of Six Tastes. Perhaps Yushu knew her fate. Therefore, he was not as enthusiastic about going to school as before. He would go to school when he had nothing to do. If he had something to do, he wouldn't go. Lin Yi parked the car in front of the residence of Six Tastes and walked straight into the restaurant. However, at the entrance, he was stopped by the waiter. "Sir, please go to the ATM over there to get a number." "Thank you. I have a reservation." The person who made the reservation is Han Xiaopa. Lin Yi said, "Ah, it's Mr. Han who made the reservation. Please come in." The waiter had obviously been informed by the boss before. After hearing Lin Yi said that it was Han Xiaopa who made the reservation, he immediately warmly welcomed Lin Yi in. Lin Yi brought Su Shirhan, Cheng Yi, and Yushu to the VIP table number 2 under the waiter's guidance. However, just as he walked over, Lin Yi was stunned, because Lin Yi saw 3 familiar faces at the VIP table number 1. One was Song Lingshan, the other was Tang Yuqi, who he met at the theater, and the last person shocked Lin Yi, because that person was from Xuegu. At this moment, Song Lingshan and the others also saw Lin Yi walking in. Song Lingshan was also a little shocked. If it was any other day, she would be very happy to see Lin Yi, but today, the person she didn't want to see the most was Lin Yi. There was no other reason. Meng Yao had repeatedly told her to keep Tang Yun's matter a secret, but now Lin Yi met her. On the other hand, Tang Yuqi obviously didn't know that Lin Yi was Song Lingshan's lover. He was a detective, and his memory was very good. Naturally, he had an impression of Lin Yi. He knew that he met this person at the theater, so he politely nodded to Lin Yi. Mrs. Tang and Tang Juqing, on the other hand, felt a little awkward and nervous. Tang Juqing didn't have his own opinion, so he could only look at Mrs. Tang for help, hoping that she could solve this problem. "Lingshan, are you here?" "Annie Wang, why are you here? Aren't you the patrolling watcher?" Lin Yi was confused, but he didn't mention anything about Xuegu. After all, he didn't know if Mrs. Tang had told Song Lingshan and Tang Yuqi about her identity, so Lin Yi only told them about her weird position. Mrs. Tang was a smart person. She understood immediately that Lin Yi didn't remember Tang Yun or anything related to her. Tang Yun was always by her side when she interacted with Lin Yi. She and Lin Yi basically didn't do anything that left a deep impression, so it was impossible for Lin Yi to know her. He wouldn't remember Tang Yun, so Mrs. Tang wasn't nervous. "Ah, so it's Lin Yi. Annie Wang came from Xuegu this time for some private business. Your husband's nephew came back from overseas, And with Officer Song's help, we got in touch, so we're having a meal together, Mrs. Tang explained. Lin Yi nodded. He was a little confused as to how Ling Shan knew that Mrs. Tang was from Shuigu, but it wasn't a good time to ask. He only nodded. My friend and I are also here for a meal. I won't disturb you then, Annie Wong. Thank you for taking care of me in Shuigu. Today's meal is on me. It's fine. Annie can reimburse you. Mrs. Tang waved her hand. You've already invited your auntie. Annie has this bit of power in Shuigu. To Mrs. Tang, she would be an idiot if she didn't take advantage of the situation. Shuigu was trying its best to please her, so naturally, she wouldn't hold back. Chapter 3180. Yushu knew Mrs. Chun and gave her a look, but she didn't go over to greet her. Ling Shan, second aunt, you guys seem to know that guy? Tang Yuqi was a little confused about Lin Yi's identity. He's the guy I told you about. Ling Shan said. Didn't you notice? The girl with the sunglasses and pink coat beside him is Su Shirhan. Oh, right? You just came back from overseas, so it's normal that you don't know her. Su Shirhan? I've heard of him, he's very famous. Tang Yuqi frowned. He's her boyfriend? She was a little embarrassed to admit that she had a relationship with Lin Yi in front of Mrs. Tang. Mrs. Tang's face was a little weird as well. Although Lin Yi didn't remember Tang Yun anymore, Tang Yun still liked Lin Yi, and so Mrs. Tang paid extra attention to the people around Lin Yi. Mrs. Tang suddenly understood why Ling Shan had been so polite to her. It seemed that Ling Shan had been treating her like a junior. After all, I'm not really his boyfriend. I just like him, but I haven't confessed yet. He actually has a girlfriend, but she left, so I'm just a mistress, Ling Shan said. Ling Shan's words made Mrs. Tang happy. It seemed like Ling Shan knew her place well enough. Mrs. Tang wasn't afraid of Lin Yi finding a mistress, a mistress, a mistress, a mistress, or a mistress. After all, Tang Yun allowed it. What she was afraid of was women who didn't know their place and wanted to replace him. Mrs. Tang was very satisfied with Ling Shan's performance and started to like her. But she couldn't help her nephew, Tang Yuqi. What? You're just a mistress? Tang Yuqi was furious. Is this guy that good? I can't take it anymore. I want to challenge him right now. Ling Shan, I'll show you that there are people better than him out there. Tang Yuqi couldn't be blamed for being so agitated. He heard that Ling Shan was willing to be a mistress. So how good did this Lin Yi have to be? And so he wasn't satisfied. He even ignored second uncle and second aunt beside him. He only wanted to see who was better than Lin Yi. You have to finish eating first, right? Ling Shan didn't stop him. She knew that if she didn't let Tang Yuqi challenge Lin Yi, he wouldn't give up. He'd only give up if he lost wholeheartedly. Therefore, it was a good idea to challenge Lin Yi as soon as possible. However, he was currently having dinner with Mrs. Tang's family. How could he challenge it midway? I'm sorry, Uncle Ani, I forgot my manners, Tang Yuqi said, feeling a little embarrassed. He just remembered that he was meeting relatives. Why did he have to challenge people in the middle of a meal? It doesn't matter. Although I just met you, I want to say that some things are a matter of fate. There's no point in forcing it, Mrs. Tang said to Tang Yuqi. Tang Yuqi was slightly taken aback. He looked at Ling Shan, and his heart ached. He swore in his heart that he'd prove that he was stronger than Lin Yi. This topic ended here. Tang Yuqi did not continue. Instead, he changed the topic and asked second uncle. Uncle, Auntie, I heard you guys say that you're from Shuigu now. This Shuigu is? Yuqi, I heard from Ling Shan that you're a practitioner, right? You belong to the Overseas Practitioners Association. So you must have heard of the ancient sects, right? Mrs. Tang asked. That's right. I've heard that there are some ancient sects here. Could Shuigu be one of them? Tang Yuqi wasn't stupid. He didn't know much about the ancient sects here, but from what Mrs. Tang said, it had to be Shuigu. Yes, I'm your second uncle's daughter, and I'm an elder of Shuigu. I'm like a housekeeper there, and I usually accompany your cousin with Uncle Tang. Mrs. Tang introduced. I see. Doesn't that mean that you guys can't leave Shuigu as you please? Tang Yuqi was a little disappointed. If that was the case, Then even if his father came back, he wouldn't be able to see Juqing's family all the time. He'd still have to live alone, and he didn't know anyone here. What was the point of that? But Tang Yuqi knew that these big sects had very strict rules, and it wasn't something that could be changed by one person. This meeting was probably going to be hard to come by. We can leave. Mrs. Tang saw through Tang Yuqi's worry and smiled. But we just want to accompany your cousin. She's a girl, after all, and she has no one to rely on. But the best way is for Big Brother to come back and live in Shuegu as well. That way, you can come visit us when you miss us, and you can still work on your own business. That's fine. Tang Yuqi was surprised and happy. Even when he was abroad, he didn't see his father often. After all, he was a famous detective, and he was commissioned to go to crime scenes all over the country. He didn't spend much time at home. This was also the reason why his father didn't want to find his younger brother. An old man without a companion was really lonely. Tang Yuqi also knew that he often didn't return home for a month or two, so he actively came here to help him find his family. But Shuegu is a big sect, and there are so many rules. Can my father live there? Of course you can. Don't underestimate your cousin. She's the only elder in the sect other than the Grand Elder. She's on equal footing with the Valley Master of Shuegu, and your second aunt status in Shuegu is also very high. Most people have to listen to her, so don't worry. After Big Brother goes there, it won't be a problem at all, and we'll have a companion. Mrs. Tang explained. That's good. I'll ask my father to come back and go with you. This way, the old man won't be lonely anymore, and I'll visit you when I'm free. There's nothing to worry about, Tang Yuqi quickly said. All right, you can contact Big Brother. We'll wait for him here. Mrs. Tang said. Tang Yuqi didn't think that things would go so smoothly. He finally felt relieved. On Lin Yi's side, Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi didn't ask about Mrs. Tang's situation. Su Shirhan received Shu's eye signal and knew that things were complicated, so she didn't ask much and focused on the food in front of her. Chapter 3181. The meal was very enjoyable, but after the meal, Tang Yuqi did not leave. He had been waiting for Lin Yi at the door, and Mrs. Tang and Tang Juqing did not leave either. They were actually a little worried that Lin Yi and Tang Yuqi's fight would hurt the harmony between them. After all, there were some things that Mrs. Tang could not say directly. She could not tell Tang Yuqi about Lin Yi's identity, let alone Lin Yi. Therefore, she could only think of a way to smooth things over when they fought, so that her nephew and son-in-law would not hurt the harmony between them. However, Mrs. Tang was relieved that Tang Yuqi and Lin Yi were not the kind of people who could not afford to lose. Tang Yuqi wanted a challenge, but it could be seen that he was a very upright person. If he lost, he would probably not continue to pester them. Lin Yi, I've heard a lot about you. I want to challenge you. I don't know if you will give me this opportunity. At the door of the home of Six Tastes, Tang Yuqi said directly to Lin Yi. Okay, there's no time like the present. Let's do it today. Lin Yi nodded. Let's find a place with no one around. How are we going to compete? You just make the rules. We're all cultivators. Whoever gets knocked down can either get up or admit defeat. However, fists and feet have no eyes. Even if we don't want to take each other's lives, it's inevitable that we'll get injured. However, I have the minor revitalization pill and the great revitalization pill here, so you don't have to worry. Hearing Tang Yuqi's words, Lin Yi was a little surprised. He actually provided pills to his opponent? This Tang Yuqi seemed to be a really honest person. However, the more he was like this, the happier Lin Yi was. After all, Aunt Wong had helped him a lot in Snow Valley, and he did not want to become enemies with her relatives. Sure, but I don't need pills. Lin Yi smiled. You mean, the person who will be injured will definitely be me? Tang Yuqi's expression changed, but he did not lose his temper. He only said, it's good to be confident. We'll only know after the competition. Ling Shan, naturally, knew that Tang Yuqi had misunderstood Lin Yi's intentions. Lin Yi could heal himself and didn't need medicine at all, but she couldn't explain it. I know an abandoned construction site nearby. Let's go there. Sure. Lin Yi and Tang Yuqi both nodded. And so, Ling Shan's car led the way, with Mrs. Tang's and Lin Yi's two jeeps following behind, heading towards the construction site. Dragon Throne full text, reading however, when they were on the road. Lin Yi's keen senses told him that they were being followed, although Lin Yi didn't know where the stalker was. For the time being, he didn't know how strong the other party was. However, there was no need to think about it. To be able to hide from him and follow him, the other party must have extraordinary strength. Most likely, the other party's strength was above his. However, Lin Yi was troubled as well. Who was following them? According to what Feng Shipian had said, his enemies from the ancient sects were all afraid that he would cause trouble for them. Who would dare to cause trouble for him? Plus, Lin Yi's jade didn't react at all, so it seemed like there was no danger. Could it be that this person's target wasn't him? Or was he further away? Or was this person's target Tang Yuqi? Even Lin Yi found the thought funny. After all, among these people, there was only one. Other than Tang Yuqi and the driver disciple, they were all people that Lin Yi had tacitly accepted. They were Lin Yi's teammates, and the jade would warn them if they were in danger. Evidently, there wasn't, so it could only be Tang Yuqi and that disciple. But what kind of enemies would these two have? One was a detective who had returned from overseas, and the other was a disciple randomly sent by the Snow Valley. The stalker was obviously an expert, and the possibility of targeting these two people was very low. But no matter what, Lin Yi didn't let his guard down at all and continued to search for the direction of the stalker. Along the way to the abandoned, unfinished building site, Lin Yi didn't find anyone following them. This made Lin Yi even more fearful, but on the surface, he still pretended to be very calm. He couldn't be flustered. Now that the ancient level had spread, he was a ruthless person who could kill two experts at the peak of the late stage of Heaven Stage in seconds. At least at the level that he could come into contact with, there were no Heavenly Tao experts, and experts at the peak of the late stage of Heaven Stage in great perfection were the kings of cultivators. But for Lin Yi, this level of strength should not be too difficult to kill. In that case, even if he was followed, Lin Yi couldn't be nervous, otherwise it would expose his own weakness. Of course, Lin Yi didn't get out of the car immediately, because he felt that the danger was getting stronger and stronger. It seemed that this person was waiting for an opportunity to make a move after they stopped the car. Lin Yi was observing. He had to control the danger within a controllable range. On Tang Yuqi's side, he got out of the car first, but just as he got out, a black shadow flew towards him. Lin Yi was shocked, but he didn't dare to make a move. After all, Lin Yi saw clearly at this moment that the person in front of him actually had the strength of the peak of the late stage of Heaven Stage. After all, Tang Yuqi was also a Heaven Stage expert, and he was a detective. His sixth sense was not ordinary. When he felt danger, he suddenly used his true energy to protect his body and began to choose to retreat and dodge. But the strength of the other party was too strong. Even if Tang Yuqi dodged, he still couldn't completely avoid it. A palm hit Tang Yuqi's left shoulder, and Tang Yuqi's whole body was hit by this powerful force and flew out, crashing into a wall of the unfinished building. The huge impact made Tang Yuqi's body like a cannonball, directly smashing a big hole in the wall, and his whole body also fell into the unfinished building. But in this way, the black shadow lost the target of attack, and temporarily couldn't find Tang Yuqi in his line of sight. He could only stop his attack and wait for Tang Yuqi to run out of the unfinished building himself. Otherwise, he couldn't just attack the unfinished building directly, right? This created a chance for Tang Yuqi to survive, and he didn't die here. Who are you? How dare you hurt someone? Mrs. Tang was both shocked and angry. Tang Yuqi was her husband's long-lost nephew, and now that he had been injured in front of her, she could not just sit by and do nothing. I'm the inspector of the Snowy Valley, and also the great elder's mother. What are your intentions in injuring my nephew for no reason? Chapter 31, 82. Although he didn't hear clearly what position she held in the Snow Valley, The identity of the great elder's mother was enough to make pure cold master worry. He was from the everyday and everyday sect, but the Snow Valley wasn't weak either. Tang Yuchi once disrespected the mad dragon patriarch of our everyday and everyday sect. I was ordered to kill him. Even if you're from the Snow Valley, don't meddle in other people's business. This is an order issued by our patriarch. If you insist on interfering, then you'll be fighting to the death with our everyday and everyday sect. Pure Cold Celestial had come with a mission, so she naturally wouldn't back down easily. What? You are from the everyday and everyday sect? Mrs. Tang furrowed her brows. She had been in the ancient world for a long time now, and naturally knew what the everyday after sun sect represented. Although she could do whatever she wanted in Snow Valley, she didn't have much confidence in the everyday after sun sect. Although the Snow Valley was powerful, it was still a far cry from the everyday and everyday sect. So Mrs. Tang didn't know if she should interfere or not. Regardless, Tang Yuchi was Tang Juqing's nephew. How could he watch him get killed? But if she interfered, it would be equivalent to inviting a strong enemy for the Snow Valley. Mrs. Tang wasn't afraid of causing trouble for the Snow Valley, but she was afraid that this trouble would affect Tang Yun. So Mrs. Tang was in a dilemma. When Lin Yi heard that the person who came was from the everyday and everyday sect, he hesitated slightly and got out of the car. Although it was a bit risky, Lin Yi could see Mrs. Tang's dilemma. When he was in Snowy Valley, Mrs. Tang had helped him a lot. At this time, it was time for him to repay her. Although Tang Yuchi could be said to be Lin Yi's love rival, he was still a good person. He was also Mrs. Tang's nephew. Lin Yi had to take care of him. Opening the door and getting out of the car, Lin Yi glanced at the black figure and revealed his early heaven stage strength. He said indifferently to the black figure, "Tang Yuchi was about to spar with me. You injured him. What's going on? Where did you come from?" Pure Cold Heavenly Venerate was slightly taken aback. Seeing that Lin Yi was an early heaven rank expert, he didn't take it to heart. However, Mother Tang had said that she was from the Snow Valley. In Pure Cold Celestial's opinion, an expert like Lin Yi should also be from the Snow Valley, although he felt that he could kill Lin Yi. But his purpose in descending the mountain was to kill Tang Yuchi, not to start a feud with the Snow Valley, so he did not attack Lin Yi. He only snorted coldly and said, "What? Do you have a problem with that? I tell you, mind your own business. The matters of the everyday and everyday sect are not something you can interfere with." Seeing that Pure Cold Heavenly Venerate was very arrogant, Lin Yi was immediately amused. "I don't know anything else." Pure Cold Heavenly Venerate naturally didn't dare to easily reveal Zhong Pingliang's identity. This was a big secret of the sect. Fortunately, Lin Yi didn't ask much because Lin Yi couldn't guess what the relationship between Mad Dragon Ancestor and Zhong Pingliang was. "All right, Scram. I'll protect Tang Yuchi. Go back and tell your ancestor that if he sends more people, I'll go to his door." Lin Yi said, "I'll kill all of you even if I have to pay a price." "That's right. Yes. I'll get lost now." Pure Cold Heavenly Venerate nodded quickly. He didn't even have the courage to talk to Lin Yi directly. He took out a small rejuvenation pill from his arms, put it on the ground, and then quickly disappeared on the spot. Lin Yi looked at the back of Pure Cold Heavenly Venerate and breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that he had successfully deceived this person. After a while, Lin Yi no longer felt like he was being followed and monitored. It seemed that Pure Cold Heavenly Venerate had really left. Chapter 3183. He knew that the other party was an expert at the peak of the late stage of heaven rank. Tang Yuchi was heavily injured in just one exchange, even when he was on guard. If he did it again, wouldn't he be as good as dead? Therefore, Tang Yuchi really didn't dare to go out at will. He just hid in the unfinished building and waited for Pure Cold Tianzuan to leave before daring to come out. However, he was a little ashamed. Lin Yi was also an expert at the early stage of heaven rank, but he dared to stay calm in front of Pure Cold Tianzuan, an expert at the peak of the late stage of heaven rank. However, what shocked Tang Yuqi the most was that Lin Yi was not afraid of pure cold Tianzuan, but pure cold Tianzuan was actually afraid of Lin Yi. Moreover, she was so afraid that she was trembling. Listening to Lin Yi, it seemed that Lin Yi and the everyday sect had a deep hatred. Moreover, Lin Yi had killed people from their sect. Pure cold Tianzuan, an expert at the peak of the late stage of heaven rank, was actually afraid of being killed by Lin Yi. Wasn't Lin Yi's strength already heaven-defying? However, Lin Yi was indeed only an expert at the early stage of heaven rank, which made Tang Yuqi very puzzled. However, since he was a detective, his brain was very good, and his logical thinking was very strong. From the short conversation between pure cold Tianzuan and Lin Yi, he could judge that Lin Yi's strength was definitely not limited to what he saw at present. Eat this small rejuvenation pill. When you recover, we will compete again. Lin Yi pointed to the small rejuvenation pill left by pure cold Tianzuan on the ground and said, "Thank you." Although half of Tang Yuqi's shoulder was broken, he could still walk. He endured the pain and nodded to Lin Yi, then picked up the small rejuvenation pill and swallowed it. Now, his injury was enough for the small rejuvenation pill, so there was no need for the great rejuvenation pill. Tang Yuqi did not say much and quickly refined the small rejuvenation pill. His injury was also under control, but his injury could not be healed in an instant. He also needed to rest for a while. Now, he definitely could not compete. You go back and rest first. Whenever you want to compete, just let me know. Lin Yi's impression of Tang Yuqi wasn't bad, but he couldn't give Lingshan to him just because of that. To tell the truth, Lin Yi had very special feelings for Lingshan, and the two of them had been through a lot together. Asking Lin Yi to give her away to someone else was evidently out of the question. There's no need to compete. However, Tang Yuqi said, "Mr. Lin, I know that I'm lacking, but that's just what happened just now. Facing the expert from the everyday sect. I'm far from you. He's afraid of you. This proves that you have the strength to make him fear you. Otherwise, with his strength, there is no need for him to be so afraid, and there is no need for him to lower himself to you. But to me, he was an expert who could kill me with a wave of his hand. That's why I'm inferior to you." Huh. Lin Yi smiled. From the looks of it, Tang Yuqi wasn't a stubborn person. He was a very logical person, and after knowing the gap between them, he wouldn't continue. "Lingshan, I wish you happiness." Tang Yuqi turned to Lingshan. "This time, I'm convinced." "Tang Yuqi, actually, you're a good person." Lingshan was a little embarrassed. "All right, I've received a good person card." Tang Yuqi sighed and smiled. "But, Captain Song, I still want to stay here. After all, my father is coming, and it's not very practical for me to go overseas and be a detective. You won't fire me, will you?" "Of course I wouldn't reject a cheap detective like you working for me." Lingshan smiled. Since Tang Yuqi said that, naturally, Lingshan couldn't just kick him out. If he wanted to stay, then so be it. She could see that Tang Yuqi was a man of his word. "All right, then we'll go back first. Ani Wang, if you're not busy, why don't you come to my villa? Lingshan knows the place." Lin Yi invited. After all, Ani Wang had helped Lin Yi a lot back in Snowy Valley, and Lin Yi had always been very grateful to her. But now, Lin Yi knew that Ani Wang and Tang Yuqi had just met. She'd definitely discuss things with Tang Yuqi first, and there was no way she'd leave Tang Yuqi at her house. "I won't be going. I'll be going back to Snowy Valley after I'm done here." Actually, Mrs. Tang wasn't in a hurry. She just didn't want to interact with Lin Yi too much. She didn't want Lin Yi to remember things from the past. If that happened, then Tang Yun's efforts would be wasted. "All right, then we'll meet again when we have the chance." Lin Yi didn't force it. He thought that Mrs. Tang was busy. Lingshan went back alone, and Mrs. Tang and Tang Juqing went with Tang Yuqi to find a place to catch up and discuss the matter of Juqing's brother coming back. Lin Yi, on the other hand, drove Su Shirhan, Cheng Yi, and Yushu back to the villa. Dongfang Xiaotsue was a woman who couldn't keep her mouth shut. After obtaining Lin Yi's forgiveness, the worry on her face disappeared. Not only that, she felt that she was very arrogant. There was no other reason. Lin, he was famous in the ancient world, and no one dared to mess with him. Now that she was the mother of Lin Yi's follower, Feng Shipian, she seemed to have a relationship with Lin Yi, and so she felt that she was also a very arrogant person. Dongfang Xiaozui's attitude made Feng Tianhu feel that something was wrong. He was worried about Lin Yi's matter, and suddenly seeing Dongfang Xiaozui, who was on the same boat as him, so he felt that something was wrong. And so, when there was no one around, Feng Tianhu blocked Dongfang Xiaozui's way. "Sister-in-law, you've been very happy these days." "Ah, Tianhu, what are you doing?" Dongfang Xiaozui was shocked by Feng Tianhu's sudden appearance. "Nothing. I'm just wondering. I heard that Lin Yi is coming to teach us a lesson. Why are you still so happy? I just wanted to remind you, and we could discuss how to deal with it." Feng Tianhu said, as if he was telling the truth. You're lying." Dongfang Xiaozui didn't have any tricks up her sleeves. After being scared by Feng Tianhu, she immediately told the truth. "Shipian already called Lin Yi, and Lin Yi said that he won't vent his anger on me. Even if he wants revenge, he'll go to House Dongfang first, not me. Stop scaring people." Maybe it was because of Tian Chan's reminder, but Little Peach paid special attention to Kong Xiaobo. Once a woman paid special attention to a man, and the man was very outstanding, the chances of this woman falling in love with this man were very high. There was a very high chance that this woman would fall in love with this man. This was especially true for a woman like Little Peach, who had just been emotionally hurt and wanted to walk out of the shadows. Of course, Little Peach's business ability was also very strong. Kong Xiaobo also relied on her a lot. Some of the core businesses in the company were also involved. This way, Little Peach really found out that Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company had nothing to do with the cauldron manufacturing. There was no information about the cauldrons here, and there were no production records either. What was certain was that the cauldrons weren't made here. This made Little Peach sigh in relief. After all, she didn't want to lie to Kong Xiaobo. This way, she didn't have to sell anything. Although Tian Chan would help her take some pressure, if Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company really made the cauldrons, Kong Ming would definitely force her to steal the information. "Kong bro," Little Peach's phone rang. It was Kong Ming. She quickly adjusted her emotions and picked up the phone. "Little Peach sis, how is it? Do you have any clues?" Kong Ming asked passionately. "Kong bro, I'm starting to take charge of the core business of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, but I didn't find any information about the cauldron's production. I didn't see any production records either," Little Peach said. "So I'm sure that this place hasn't produced any cauldrons." "Kong bro, you should give up on this place." "Oh, no." Kong Ming was a little disappointed. In fact, he could more or less guess this result. After all, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was a production line. He was sure that this cauldron was produced by House Lu's electronics factory. It was reasonable that there wasn't any information here. However, Kong Ming naturally wouldn't let Little Peach give up. He didn't want her to return to the Heavenly Elixir sect. It wasn't easy to kill this person. She was an eyesore in front of him. If it affected his relationship with Little 11 and caused Elder Xianxian to be wary, then it wouldn't be worth it. So, Kong Ming said directly, "Little Peach, don't give up. You should continue to stay there. This cauldron might be a core secret. It can't be displayed in front of normal employees. How about this? You should continue to stay there. I think that you might need 3 to 5 years to get to know these secrets. Little Peach, if you want to be with me, you have to be prepared to be a spy for a long time. Do you understand?" Okay, Kong bro. Little Peach will continue to stay here and find out more about this cauldron." Little Peach quickly nodded. However, she was very disdainful in her heart. Ever since she knew about Kong Ming's ugly face, she knew that Kong Ming was just playing with her. Be with her? He just wanted her to stay away from him, so that she wouldn't interfere with Kong Ming's good things. However, staying here was also Little Peach's intention. During this period of time, she had a very good impression of Kong Xiaobo. Although she knew that Kong Xiaobo had a girlfriend, Little Peach was a person from the ancient era. She didn't have the concept of monogamy. So, this didn't affect her liking for Kong Xiaobo. Chapter 3185. And I know. Peach Blossom pretended to be very serious and replied. Kong Ming Ming hung up the phone with satisfaction. On Little Peach's side, she was also relieved. She put away her phone and was about to turn around and leave the secretary's office. When she turned around, she saw Kong Xiaobo standing at the door of the secretary's office with a gloomy face. Kong! President Kong! Little Peach was shocked. She stood on the spot, dumbfounded. She didn't expect that her phone call would be discovered by Kong Xiaobo. Tao Xiaohong, don't you want to explain this matter to me? Kong Xiaobo's face was very ugly. He didn't expect that his secretary was actually a spy. Who is the brother Kong on the other side of the phone? President Kong, I was wrong. I shouldn't have hidden it from you. But I really have no malicious intent towards you and the company, not even a little bit. Little Peach cried and was at a loss. Kong Ming Ming couldn't help but frown. He didn't expect Little Peach to cry first. Kong Xiaobo was also a soft-hearted person, like boss, like little brother. He also couldn't bear to see a woman cry. Although he was annoyed, he still comforted, Little Peach, don't cry. If you have something to say, just say it. You can't solve the problem even if you cry. President Kong, then, do you believe me? Little Peach wiped her tears and asked weakly. Xiaobo didn't know how to respond to Peach's question at all. He hadn't even said anything yet, and she was asking if he believed her or not. Red, tell me the whole story, and if you're not wrong, then I'll tell you what I'm going to tell you. If you're really not wrong, I naturally won't blame you. But if you really betray the company's interests, even if I rely on you, I can't let you live. President Kong, I will tell you now. Little Peach didn't hide anything. She directly told him her identity and her previous relationship with Kong Ming Ming. Also, she told Kong Xiaobo that Kong Ming Ming sent her to spy on the secret and played with her. When Kong Xiaobo heard the name of his cousin, Kong Ming Ming, he was a little surprised, but he was more angry. This cousin of his was actually going against him and his boss. This person was really hopeless. The person Xiaobo hated the most in his life was Kong Xiaoming. Not only did he hurt Fun, but Kong Xiaoming as well. He even sent people to oppose him and Lin Yi. Kong Xiaobo was no longer the hot-blooded young man who impulsively wanted to go up to the rooftop with Lin Yi. He had been in the business world for so long. Naturally, Kong Xiaobo had the ability to read people. Whether Little Peach was lying or telling the truth, Kong Xiaobo could tell at a glance. Based on Little Peach's words and tone, Kong Xiaobo could basically tell that Little Peach wasn't lying. Moreover, the Kong Ming Ming that Little Peach mentioned was very similar to his character. Blinded by greed, he was a person who put benefits above everything else. At the same time, Kong Ming Ming also sympathized with Little Peach. This person was completely a sacrifice that Kong Ming Ming used to climb up. It could be said that Kong Ming Ming didn't have any feelings for her. He was just using her. After using her, he would kick her away. How can I believe you? Although Kong Xiaobo had already made a judgment in his heart, he wasn't an irrational person. He needed evidence for everything. He looked at Little Peach and asked, I have a recording of my conversation with Kong Ming Ming. Because these are for young sect master to listen to, I recorded it. Director Kong, I can play it for you. After you listen to it, you will know Kong Ming Ming's thoughts. My task here can be said to be completed. I should go back, but he asked me to stay here for 3 to 5 years. Is this what someone who likes me would say? 3 to 5 years, how long is that? Will you let me stay here alone? Little Peach shook her head with a bitter smile and said, Director Kong, I won't lie to you. I came here to avoid Kong Ming Ming and start a new life. Our young sect master is a good person. He gave me this opportunity and told me that I just need to pretend to be courteous to Kong Ming Ming. Okay, let me listen. Kong Ming Ming nodded and signaled Little Peach to play the recording. Little Peach didn't say anything more. Instead, she played the recording of the conversation between her and Kong Ming Ming to Kong Xiaobo. After listening to the recording, Kong Xiaobo basically believed Little Peach's words. He couldn't help but sigh slightly. He felt that Little Peach was very pitiful. At this time, he was very sympathetic to Little Peach. Perhaps it was because they were in the same boat as Lan Fun. Both of them were pitiful people abandoned by Kong Xiaoming. Little Peach, I believe you. So, your name isn't Tao Xiaohong, but Little Peach? Kong Xiaobo asked. Thank you for your trust, Director Kong. Little Peach was surprised and happy. Yes, my name is Little Peach. Tao Xiaohong is the name that the young sect master gave me. I've been a maid since I was young. I don't have any name. Your Heavenly Elixir sect's young sect master is an upright person. In fact, Kong Xiaobo also trusted the Heavenly Silkworm transformation. Back then, Kong Xiaobo also heard that the Heavenly Silkworm transformation had helped Lin Yi, so his impression of the Heavenly Silkworm transformation was still very good. If you can ask him to call me and explain this matter, then this matter will be over. You are still my secretary, and I will not pursue this matter anymore. I'll try. Little Peach didn't dare guarantee that the Heavenly Silkworm transformation could communicate with Kong Xiaobo for her. After saying so, Little Peach dialed Tian Chan's number. Little Peach, what's the matter? Tian Chan still had a lot of feelings for Little Peach. After all, she had followed her for so long. Now that she had left her side, Tian Chan would often think of her. Young sect master, it's like this. When I was on the phone with Kong Ming Ming, I was discovered by Director Kong. Little Peach said weakly. Little Peach, why are you so careless? What did Kong Xiaobo say now? Tian Chan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She didn't expect Little Peach to not be vigilant at all. Didn't she know how to avoid making a phone call? He said that he wants you to explain to him. Little Peach said as she told Tian Chan what she had already confessed. Okay, I'll talk to him. Tian Chan agreed readily. This surprised and delighted Little Peach. She quickly gave the phone to Kong Ming Ming and said, Director Kong, the young sect master wants to talk to you. Hello, young sect master Tian. Kong Xiaobo picked up the phone nervously. After all, the other party was the young sect master of a super ancient sect. When had Kong Xiaobo spoken to such a person? Chapter 3186. In that case, she subconsciously wanted to leave a good impression in front of him. What Little Peach said is all true. I can guarantee it with my identity and status. Besides, I'm a young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect. I don't think I need to lie to you. That's true. Kong Xiaobo couldn't think of any reason for the young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect to lie to him. Although he couldn't rule out the possibility that the Silkworm Change and Little Peach were in cahoots, Kong Xiaobo knew that the Silkworm Change was the Silkworm Change, and Kong Ming Ming was Kong Ming. Kong Ming Ming wanted to deal with Lin Yi and him, but the Silkworm Change had helped Lin Yi a lot. Not only did it look for Lin Yi in the trial, but it also helped when the Dark Knight Palace was attacked. This showed the attitude of the Silkworm Change. If the Silkworm Change threatened Lin Yi and asked Lin Yi to hand over the materials of the first-grade automatic medicine cauldron, he believed that Lin Yi would definitely hand it over. Lin Yi was a person who valued kindness. If the Silkworm Change wanted the materials, it didn't need to put in so much effort. It could be done with a phone call. Why would it need to pretend with Little Peach? As for Kong Ming Ming, Kong Xiaobo also knew that he had always wanted to deal with Lin Yi and himself. So what Little Peach said was very reasonable. As for why Kong Ming Ming, as an elder of the Heavenly Elixir sect, didn't listen to the Silkworm Change, the reason was very simple. A big sect couldn't only have one force. Little Peach had also said that the person who supported Kong Ming Ming was the Silkworm Change's martial uncle, who was also a strong person. So it was reasonable that the Silkworm Change couldn't fight with him head-on. Since young sect master Tian has said so, I will definitely believe you, no matter what. No matter what, you've helped my boss so much, so there's no need to lie to me. Kong Xiaobo said, however, young master Tian, do you mind if I tell boss Linny about this matter? You can tell him. It's okay, Tian Chan said. All right, thanks for understanding, Xiaobo said with a sigh of relief. He couldn't hide this from Lin, even if he wanted to. If he had to keep the heavenly silkworm transformation a secret, he would have been in a difficult position. But now, there was no problem. After hanging up the phone, Kong Xiaobo only felt sympathy for Little Peach. He didn't expect Little Peach to be so pitiful, so he sighed and said, "Little Peach, you're also a pitiful person, and so is my girlfriend. I'll introduce you too when the time comes. I'm sure you'll have a lot of common topics to talk about." In fact, Little Peach and Lan Fen belonged to the same company. They had known each other for a long time, but they didn't have a deep relationship. After all, Little Peach was only Kong Xiaobo's secretary. She had gone to make friends with Kong Xiaobo's girlfriend. It was a little strange, but it was different when Kong Xiaobo brought it up. In fact, Little Peach also wanted to talk to Lan Fen. She had read Kong Xiaobo's information and knew Lan Fen's background. This girl's background was even more miserable than hers. Compared to her, she was nothing. Little Peach was just cheated by Kong Ming, but Lan Fen was not only cheated, but also set up a car accident by Kong Ming. In the end, she was even forced to jump off a building. Not only did she have mental problems, but her legs were also broken. Fortunately, she met Lin Yi and Kong Xiaobo. Otherwise, Lan Fen's life would have been ruined. The two of them were in the same boat, and Little Peach also had a good impression of Kong Xiaobo. Naturally, she had to pay a visit to Lan Fen. "Thank you, Mr. Kong. Actually, I've already read the information and know that Miss Lan was also hurt by Kong Xiaoming. If you can introduce us to each other, I'll be able to vent my frustrations. It'll be a lot easier." Little Peach didn't hide her knowledge of Lan Fen. Oh, Kong Xiaobo was slightly stunned. He didn't expect that Little Peach had already known about Lan Fen. But thinking about it, since she was sent by Kong Ming and alarmed Silkworm Transformation must have investigated his information in advance. In this way, Kong Ming was relieved. He nodded and said, "Then I will call Xiaofen." As Kong Xiaobo said, he picked up the phone on the desk and dialed Xiaofen's internal line. "It's me, Xiaofen," Kong Xiaobo said directly. "Xiaobo, why are you calling me?" Xiaofen was a little surprised. Usually, at work, Kong Xiaobo would do his business and wouldn't call her directly. Even if there was business, he would let his assistant contact her. Generally, he wouldn't call her personally. "Do you have anything on your hands now?" Kong Xiaobo asked. "Not for the time being." "Why? What's the matter?" Xiaofen asked curiously. "It's like this. You know my secretary, Tao Xiaohong. Before she came to the company, there was a story. I hope you can enlighten her." Kong Xiaobo said. "Me? Enlighten her?" Xiaofen was slightly stunned. She didn't understand what Kong Xiaobo meant. How can I enlighten her? Before, she was just abandoned by Kong Ming, that bastard. Kong Xiaobo said with a bitter smile. "What?" Xiaofen was stunned after hearing it. She didn't expect Kong Xiaobo to say this. This Tao Xiaohong actually has a relationship with Kong Ming? Isn't this too much of a coincidence? Actually, it's like this. Kong Xiaobo briefly told Xiaofen about the matter between Little Peach and Kong Ming. Then he said, "Now that the young sect master of Heavenly Elixir Sect has guaranteed in front of me, there's no problem with Little Peach. I understand. Ask her to come over," Xiaofen sighed. Xiaofen sighed. Looking at Little Peach's current state, she thought of herself in the past. However, her injuries were deeper than Little Peach's. Little Peach had only just fallen. "Okay, I'll ask her to look for you now." Kong Xiaobo nodded. Kong Xiaobo asked Little Peach to look for Xiaofen while he called Lin Yi boss. "Xiaobo, what's the matter?" Lin Yi quickly picked up the phone. "Boss, it's like this." Kong Xiaobo told Lin Yi about Little Peach and his conversation with Heavenly Silkworm Transformation. Lin Yi was shocked after hearing Kong Xiaobo's words. He didn't expect Kong Ming to reach out to him again. He didn't expect Heavenly Silkworm Transformation to be on his side. Actually, Lin Yi had always been doubtful about Heavenly Silkworm Transformation's attitude towards him. In the Heavenly Elixir Sect's trial, when Heavenly Silkworm Transformation was making things difficult for Lin Yi, it helped Lin Yi out. These all showed that Heavenly Silkworm Transformation shouldn't be his enemy. Chapter 3187. Although it was Kong Ming Ming's loss, the pills didn't belong to him. It should belong to Sky Elixir Sect. Did the young master of Sky Elixir Sect not hold a grudge against him? Or was it just as Kong Xiaobo said? There were several factions in Sky Elixir Sect, and Kong Ming Ming's faction and Silkworm Change's faction were enemies. So the loss was probably the profits of that faction, and it had nothing to do with Silkworm Change. Lin Yi couldn't figure it out, but there were some things that Lin Yi couldn't ask Silkworm Change directly. He could only take it one step at a time. Since Silkworm Change is acting as Little Peach's guarantor, you don't have to worry about anything. Let her continue working in your company. We still have to give Silkworm Change face. Lin Yi was a grateful person, and Silkworm Change had done him a favor. No matter what, he had to trust Silkworm Change this once. Kong Xiaobo's company didn't have any core secrets. Those medicine formulas were treasures to House Kong, but they were useless to Sky Elixir Sect now. If they wanted them, they could make them themselves. They didn't need to steal from Lin Yi. So from Lin Yi's point of view, Silkworm Change wouldn't be able to do anything bad to him. I understand. Kong Xiaobo nodded. After hanging up, Lin Yi called Lu Jinghan. Jinghan, I have something to tell you. Lin Yi said, then told her about Kong Ming Ming's plans on the first-grade automatic cauldrons. You need to be on guard here. If Kong Ming Ming can't find a breakthrough from Fatty Lie's side, he'll go to your side. Lin Yi bro, I know. Kong Ming Ming has already made his move. He's bribed a foreman of our house Lu's electronics factory, and he's stealing the factory's information. It seems like he's working on two fronts, not just Boss Lai, Lu Jinghan said. Oh, he's already made his move? You know, how did you deal with it? Lin Yi asked in surprise. I didn't deal with it. However, I've already sent people to keep an eye on Foreman Su. Lu Jinghan said, on my side, if I get rid of Foreman Su, Kong Ming Ming will definitely find other ways to steal the information. Instead of that, it's better to control the danger in our own hands. We just need to keep an eye on Kong Ming Ming and Foreman Su. Oh, is there nothing on Foreman Su's side to steal? Lin Yi didn't expect Lu Jinghan to have already noticed this. He was relieved. Yes, that side is filled with production materials. In fact, the core technology of the first-grade automatic medical cauldron is the source code in the single-chip microcomputer. The manufacturing process and plans can actually be imitated by most high-end electronics companies through our products. It's not a problem at all. Kong Ming Ming can steal these things if he wants to. It doesn't matter, Lu Jinghan said. If that's the case, where did you save the source code? Lin Yi nodded and asked. The source code is in the head office. Chapter 3188. Hee. Let me introduce myself. My surname is Kong, and I'm here to discuss a business deal with you. Kong Ming Ming introduced himself. What business do you want to discuss with me? I'm just a delivery man. If you have a business deal, go talk to our company's leader. That's the job of the department manager. I'm just an employee. What's there to discuss? The delivery man was confused. Don't rush. I just want to ask you something. If you answer me, I'll give you 20,000 kwai. How's that? Kong Xiaoming said as he took out 2 stacks of cash and placed them in front of the delivery man. Do? What do you mean? I'm telling you, I don't do anything illegal. I'm just a delivery man. I don't know anything. You want me to kill people and burn things down? I won't do that. The delivery man looked at the cash in front of him and was shocked. Don't worry. I'm not asking you to kill people or burn things down. I just want to ask you a question. Where did you get all these microcontrollers? Kong Ming Ming asked. That's the question? The company asked me to deliver them. You want me to answer this question and you'll give me money? The delivery man opened his eyes wide and looked at Kong Ming Ming in disbelief. Of course, that's the question. But you have to tell me, who gave you these microcontrollers? Kong Ming Ming said, which means who wrote the program. This microcontroller was given to me by Vice CEO Lu's assistant. As for who wrote the program, I don't know. The delivery man shook his head. Vice CEO Lu? Who? Kong Ming Ming asked. It's Lu Jinghan, Vice CEO Lu. She's the leader of our Lu's group. The delivery man explained. The leader of your group? How could she be the vice CEO? Who's your CEO? Kong Ming asked curiously. Lu Jinghan was the CEO. It's like this. The CEO of our group is actually Mr. Lu Tianli. But Mr. Lu Tianli entered rehab because of drug abuse. After he came out of rehab, he's been living in a sanatorium. Vice CEO Lu is actually the same as the CEO. It's just that she hasn't officially taken up the position yet. That's to say, Lu Jinghan wrote the program in this single-chip computer? Kong Ming asked. More or less. I'm not sure either. The delivery man said. Okay, the money is yours. After Kong Ming got the information he wanted, he got out of the car. Now things had reached a dead end. If this program was really written by Lu Jinghan, then it would be useless for Kong Ming to look for anyone but Lu Jinghan. But how could Lu Jinghan give the program to Kong Ming? Kong Ming pondered. He could only start with Lu Jinghan's secretary. Of course, Kong Ming didn't look for Lu Jinghan's assistant directly. Usually, the assistant was Lu Jinghan's confidant. He only looked for Lu Jinghan's personal secretary. This secretary was only responsible for cleaning the office and serving tea. She did not participate in the business. So this kind of person was not Lu Jinghan's confidant, and she wouldn't earn much money. It was easier to attack. As expected, Kong Xiaoming managed to get some important information from his personal secretary. As expected, Lu Jinghan was responsible for writing the SCM. However, there was no programming device in Lu Jinghan's office. According to the long-term work observation of this personal secretary, there was a secret room in Lu Jinghan's office. This secret room could only be entered through fingerprint verification. Then this secret room, you guys have never entered it before? Kong Ming asked. No, including Vice CEO Lu's assistant and business secretary. That's the forbidden area of a CEO's office. Only the former CEO Lu and the current Vice CEO Lu can enter. There's a verification, the personal secretary said. Oh, does that mean Lu Tianli can enter as well? Kong Ming suddenly thought of something, and his eyes lit up. Yes, this was the former CEO Lu's office. The personal secretary said. Okay, I understand. Kong Xiaoming left after paying the fee. He didn't stay around the company anymore. Instead, he went to carry out another plan. In fact, Lu Jinghan had been monitoring Kong Ming's contact with these people. Although she didn't know what Kong Ming had said to these people, she didn't care. These people couldn't touch the company's core secrets. Even if Kong Ming went to them, he wouldn't be able to get the source code. It would be useless. So Lu Jinghan let him do whatever he wanted. As for the employees in the company, Lu Jinghan decided to deal with them later. After Kong Ming left, he went to Lu Tianli Sanatorium. This wasn't a secret. With Kong Ming's connections, finding out where Lu Tianli was an easy task. In the middle of the night, Kong Ming went around the people house Lu sent to watch over Lu Tianli and went straight into Lu Tianli's room. Kong Ming was now a sky-class master. Although he didn't have much fighting ability, it was still a piece of cake for him to go around the guards outside the door. These days, to Lu Tianli, every day was painful. After leaving the drugs, Lu Tianli became extremely haggard. Although he wanted to continue taking drugs, he didn't have the money or the means to buy them. Although he came out of the sanatorium and stayed in the sanatorium, there were still guards sent by Lu Jinghan outside the sanatorium villa. They said it was to protect his safety, but in reality, they were watching him and not letting him leave. He wouldn't have the chance to touch drugs again. During the day, Lu Tianli could go play cards and drink with his friends in the sanatorium. He could get through it, but at night, it was hard to get through. Every time the drugs acted up in the middle of the night, Lu Tianli would be in so much pain that he had the urge to die. It was a drop in the ocean compared to the reward. Tianli saw that Kong Ming agreed so quickly, and he knew that his condition wasn't enough. You have to give me some up front, otherwise how can I trust you? Now, Kong Xiaoming paused for a moment. Sure, they're all in my car. Actually, I prepared 40 of them. If things go smoothly, I can give them all to you. I don't have them anyway. I don't take drugs. All right. Tianli was happy again. You want to go to the secret room? Let's go now. But there are guards at the door. Can you hide? Sure. Kong Xiaoming nodded and replied casually. With that, he grabbed Tianli and jumped out of the window, disappearing into the night. Tianli was surprised and happy as he watched his body fly up into the air, landing a few hundred meters away from the villa. You're a practitioner? Yes, I'm a sky-class master, Kong Mingming said. So you should know that I have no reason to lie to you. If I wasn't afraid of being discovered, I would have just destroyed the secret room's mechanism by force. It wasn't that Kong Mingming hadn't thought of doing that, but he was afraid that he'd be discovered when he was destroying the mechanism. If that happened, he'd have to run first, and there wouldn't be a second chance. That was why he brought Tianli here. Hearing that Kong Mingming was a sky-class master, Tianli was shocked. He nodded. All right, if that's the case, let's go. The two came to a car, and Kong Mingming opened the trunk, showing the cigarettes inside to Tianli. Tianli got in the car, satisfied, and followed Kong Mingming to the Lu Group. The Lu Group's security was good, but these people were all masters of the common world. It was impossible for them to guard against a sky-class master like Kong Mingming. Kong Mingming brought Tianli and flew into the washroom with the window open, going upstairs to the CEO's office. Lu Jinghan didn't change the lock, so Tianli easily opened the CEO's office door with his key. Jinghan didn't expect Tianli to come to this place again. After all, Tianli was still the old CEO in name, but he'd already retired to the sanatorium. Why would he come back? After entering the office, Tianli flipped open one of the murals in the office with familiarity. Behind the murals was a fingerprint recognition device. Tianli keyed in the password and verified the fingerprint, and the door to the secret room opened slowly. Because Tianli entered the office and opened the door to the secret room through the proper way, the security measures weren't activated at all. It was like Jinghan coming here alone at night. As long as Jinghan didn't purposely look at the security cameras, she wouldn't notice anything. All right, the door is open. Do what you want to do as soon as possible. If someone finds out, neither of us will have a good ending, Tianli reminded. Kong Mingming nodded. I know that even if you don't remind me. I'll do it as soon as possible. Chapter 3192. All right, since you put it that way, we'll leave it at that. You and Jinghan can discuss how to upgrade the cauldron. Lin, he didn't dwell on this matter. After all, this thing was made by Han Jingjing, and Lin, he was reaping the fruits of her labor. Even Han Jingjing, the inventor, wasn't unhappy about it. So what was there for Lin to be unhappy about? This thing belonged to Han Jingjing, and even if she gave it to Kong Mingming for free, Lin wouldn't be able to say anything, let alone pleading for House Lu. So Lin agreed right away. In fact, as long as Han Jingjing wasn't angry, Lin wouldn't be either. Lin felt that Han Jingjing's hard work was betrayed by Lu Tianli and Lu Jinghan to Kong Mingming, and it wasn't worth it for Han Jingjing, but Han Jingjing didn't feel anything wrong about it. The news of Miracle Dr. Guan's cauldrons being able to be upgraded spread across all the ancient sects and houses like a spring breeze. This made those sects and houses that were waiting to see what would happen once again run to the Cultivator Trade Association. The houses and sects that bought Miracle Dr. Guan's cauldrons were so happy they couldn't close their mouths. Although they bought the cauldrons at a high price, and people thought that they were being taken advantage of, it was great now. Those who bought the Sky Elixir sect cauldrons were the ones that lost out. Although the Sky Elixir sect said that their cauldrons were original, these sects and houses weren't idiots. Who couldn't tell that the Sky Elixir sect was copying Miracle Dr. Guan's cauldrons. The functions were the same, and there were no changes or additions. Who would believe that it was original? Miracle Dr. Guan's quick retaliation proved this point. They were targeting the counterfeit cauldrons in the market. If the Sky Elixir sect was original, why didn't they upgrade their cauldrons as well? The medicinal cauldron sales center of the Heavenly Elixir sect suddenly became deserted from the bustling crowd that it used to be. Everyone obediently went to the Cultivator Trade Association to register for the auction. Those who bought the medicine cauldrons also went to the Lu group to upgrade their medicine cauldrons. Hence, the Heavenly Elixir sect's first-grade intelligent medicine cauldron was like a flash in the pan. The few people who bought it all regretted it. They couldn't get a refund, nor could they go to the Lu group to upgrade it, because they didn't support the upgrade of pirated chips. This Lin Yi is too cunning. I'm afraid he has already thought of a countermeasure. Once we replicate it, he will level up and cheat us, Kong Ming said hatefully. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. Right now, the initiative is in their hands. The only thing we need to do now is to keep up with Lin Yi's pace. We can't fall too far behind them. However, Patriarch Xianxun was very calm. The most important thing now is to buy a 15-in-1 medicinal cauldron. Then, we'll crack the program inside and upgrade the products we sell. As long as our after-sales service can keep up, even if we're imitations, they'll still sell well. That's true, but the key question is, how do we get the 15-in-1 medicinal cauldron back? Kong Ming said worriedly. After using the previous method once, we definitely can't use it a second time. Even if I go to Lu Tianli again, it's useless. Let's not talk about whether he can take me there. Even if he does, I'm afraid that Lu Jinghan has already changed the password. We still can't enter the secret room. You think of a way to deal with this matter. Discuss it with Dr. Benjamin too, and see if he has a way to crack the new program. Patriarch Xianxun asked. After all, he has come into contact with those source programs now. See if there are any other ways. Okay, I'll ask him. Kong Ming nodded. After chatting here, he called Dr. Benjamin II. Dr. Benjamin II, I have such a thing to tell you. Kong Xiaoming answered the phone and said straightforwardly. I know. Is it about the 15-in-1 medicinal cauldron? Dr. Benjamin II obviously also paid attention to the medicinal cauldron on the market. He already knew about the upgrade of Lin Yi's medicinal cauldron. Yes, it's about this. If we don't improve and upgrade, then no one will buy our products. I'm not the only one involved in this. There's also your center's interest. We'll split the profits together. So if you don't think of a way, all our previous efforts will be wasted, Kong Xiaoming said. Who said I don't think of a way? I've been studying the programmer driver you copied for me these days. Dr. Benjamin II said, with the driver of the programmer, I can decipher the parameters and definitions of the special single-chip chip. With these things, I know the general principle of the single-chip chip, and I can start to crack it. Oh, is this for real? So, you have cracked that single-chip chip? Kong Ming didn't expect that the programmer driver that he casually copied back would be so useful. Naturally, in these few days, I can successfully read the program in the single-chip chip. Dr. Benjamin II said, if I didn't have this single-chip driver, I probably wouldn't be able to crack it in my lifetime. But with this thing, everything has become a lot easier. That's great. Well, I will send you a 15-in-1 medicinal cauldron in a few days. You crack the program, and we will also provide an upgrade service for the medicinal cauldron. Kong Ming said. Okay, send me one. Dr. Benjamin II said, by the time your parcel arrives, I guess I will have almost cracked it. Okay, then I will prepare it, said Kong Ming. What Lenny didn't expect was that after a week, the Heavenly Elixir sect also launched an upgrade service for the medicinal cauldron, and the upgrade fee was only 100 million, which was half of the 200 million Lin Yi charged. Moreover, the Heavenly Elixir sect also announced that as long as the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company's medicinal cauldron was upgraded, the Heavenly Elixir sect would also quickly upgrade the cauldron in less than a week. When this news came out, the users who bought the Heavenly Elixir sect's medicinal cauldron were instantly excited. Those sects and families who were preparing to buy Lin Yi's medicinal cauldron also began to hesitate. After all, the Heavenly Elixir sect's medicinal cauldron was much cheaper, and the upgrade fee was also cheaper. Although the speed of the upgrade might be slower than Lin Yi's medicinal cauldron, it wouldn't be much slower. A week or so was still acceptable. The most important thing was that the cauldron could be upgraded. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.